welcome to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, one of my favorite events of the week. We have a very special guest today, the Tattoo Doula, and Laura's here with us to talk to us about her journey. We usually go for 3 hours, so there's so much information that we cover. Before we get started, I definitely want to highlight and say thank you to our amazing sponsors for making this community come together like it is. We've got Donna at Inkjet Stencils, a phenomenal product. She's very passionate about it and is offering free samples within the community for her to print off some of the your designs. So if you're interested in how that works, just check us out in the Reinventing community. We have Jesse Smith at Loose Screw Tattoo, and he is hiring, by the way, for resident and guest artists. They've got a fantastic work environment in one of the most culturally cool areas of the entire world, Richmond, Virginia. We also have Raw Pigments, and we'd like to say thank you to them. They provide acrylic-free pigments. They're a little bit new to the industry, but we definitely want to say thank you to them for their support. And before we do get started, we have a killer event on Saturday night. It's called the Equinox. We'll be bringing in Aja Lu and Android Jones for some just killer artwork and sounds. We'll be running a separate stream for painters with the sound on, video on, that should be like super interactive and a fun experience for all of us. So if you're interested, you can go to reinventingthetattoo.com/equinox to get your free ticket and registration. With all of that aside, I think it's time for us to say hello to Fawn and Jordan. How are you guys doing today?
Hey guys. Hey. Welcome
to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. What are we at? Episode 28?
Yeah, 28, I think this is episode 28. We're here today with the Tattoo Doula, our new awesome friend.
Hi guys. How are you doing? I'm great. Here, come into the mic a little bit closer. Hello.
Uh-oh. No mic yet.
Oh. That might be why you can't hear me. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, hey.
There's Laura.
I'm here. Welcome.
So Laura, you just got a bunch of tattoo done by Fawn.
I did.
Not done. Started.
Yes. Yeah. First session on a sleeve last week.
It's another crazy volcano tropical paradise piece.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I
like them.
Cool.
I like them.
I love it so much. It's amazing. There's so much to it. I can't believe how much you got done in one sitting. It's crazy.
See, I feel like I look at it when it's this early on and all I see is how much work is left to do. And like, oh man, I wish I could have just worked for 10 more hours.
I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Yeah. We get to that point where it's like, no, my back's telling me we should stop.
Yeah, you guys covered a lot of space.
You know, we really got a lot of the back arm done. Yeah. I didn't realize till you stood up, like how much material like we had really covered. That really was.
And that's my favorite part is that back of the arm. I remember you telling me like, I got a little farther than I thought I would. And like now that I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
no.
Shall I disrobe?
No, you bring the camera up on her face.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I thought you were telling her to take her clothes off.
I mean, I'm down.
Don't get naked. But yeah, no, at some point we'll want to see that.
Tattoo. For sure. I told Fawn I have a rough spot. Like, you know, it's not a canvas, right? It's not a flat canvas, and so
this area bends and stretches a lot.
And that's exactly where it is, right there on the.
This strip here, and then
just rough. And I've been like beating myself up, like what could I have done differently? In fact, that's one of the things I thought we could talk about was just kind of like healing.
It's winter time and dry.
It's winter. That's definitely part of it.
You know, that is something we really haven't talked about yet is the pros and cons of getting tattooed during different times of the year. If you're somebody that loves the sun, get tattooed in the winter. If you're somebody who is really dry by nature, get tattooed in the summer and stick with your sunblock.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it heal?
So most of it is healing great. I'll take the
off. Take it all off.
Take a look. So most of it, especially the back, is healing great. Like light peeling, which I would consider normal. But then this part right here in the waves, from day one, like when I first took the saran wrap off, I had this armor plating of, yellow scab, and it was gross. And it really is still thick scab.
To be fair, that's the only area that we pushed all the way to full saturation to.
So maybe it just was
the most ink in that area, as well as right there at that bend of the elbow.
Right, exactly. But, yeah, because that's what happens. It keeps cracking.
Yeah, be patient with it. What kind of aftercare do you've been getting tattooed long enough? But I'm sure you've got your own aftercare regimen.
It's great. Yeah. So morning and night, I wash with warm water, not hot, and Cetaphil. And I kind of like rub with my hand, nothing else. Gently. I don't like pick or, try to encourage stuff to come off, but like some stuff
Just
does
kind of
come off.
exfoliate
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
fingertips.
Yep. And then after that, pat dry with a towel, clean towel. And then I use either Curel or Lubriderm. I have Curel downstairs, Lubriderm upstairs. I do it immediately after I wash it. So that's twice. And then probably at least 1 or 2 other times middle of the day, I also do the Curel or Lubriderm.
Nice.
And that's it, really. I keep a clean long sleeve t-shirt on, 100% cotton or just other organic, fabrics, nothing no polyester.
That's something I like to talk about. Right after I get tattooed, I specifically like to wear some of my like oldest washed 1,000 times shirts, like the ones where like there's no lint left in them.
No seams, no lint.
I'm a sucker for like vintage t-shirts anyways, and I've got shirts that I've had since like middle school that I still wear on the reg. But like those are the best shirts to wear after being tattooed. And like with my leg tattoo, even like old jeans were a lot more comfortable than newer jeans. So it was like I look like a bum all the time anyways. But like after a tattoo session, I especially look like a bum. Like you're really gonna question like, she's looking both haggard and homeless. Like either she just got tattooed or something's up.
Just, hey, you know what? I feel like all of last year, all I wore was comfy clothes. I mean, it's as getting through this pandemic, you just need to be comfortable, right? So it's all good.
My entire life is built around comfort, I think.
It's a good thing.
Definitely flowy clothes.
Yeah.
Loose fitting, lint free.
Yeah.
Lint free. Yeah.
For sure.
I always have
after tattoo wardrobe.
I always have a rough heel in that area right
Really?
there. Yeah, it's always just a little bit more so. When I use Sanoderm is when I have a really bad heel right there. Or what do we call them? Well, it's not Sanoderm. It's ADWs.
Adherent dermal wrap.
Yes. When I use adherent dermal wraps, that tends to.
We should ask somebody like medically, what do you call this bandage? Like, if you're not using a name brand, what do you call this bandage?
When I took it off, my daughter was like, "Oh, that's a puppy pad, right?"
Yeah, that's what I.
The tattoo armor.
The tattoo armor style ones. That's what
was
I
that
call
comfortable?
Yeah,
you like
I
that
liked
stuff?
it.
Good.
I slept in it that night.
Good. So far, I've been getting such good feedback.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. It seems optimistic that we might be carrying them soon, but I don't know enough to say that officially, but I hope so.
Yeah,
I still
we
have
should
some of the
definitely carry.
samples.
We should carry at least that style.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why not tattoo armor? I mean,
so far they've been
we don't
great.
get paid for saying tattoo armor. We don't.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start.
No, actually, I didn't
just
even
kidding.
really talk about it until I had a chance to use it on a few. Like I wanted to use it on some clients that like would know the difference, who I've wrapped with like Saran wrap and Sanoderm, and where I could be like, "What do you think?" So I wanted to be strategic so I could get good feedback.
Yeah, I
And
really liked it.
once I started getting feedback, I feel like I really like it, and it just seems like it's got to be more comfortable than like having the sweaty, wrinkly, like waking up in human soup.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever woken up in your own human soup?
I mean, my back for sure when I'm traveling, and
Isn't that the grossest feeling?
I don't. Sometimes I take the Sanoderm off when I go home. Sometimes I just keep it on while I sleep, just because it's easy. But when I go to the hotel, but I don't know if I'm feeling up to it, I'll take the shower. But usually, I mean, for like when I'm taking a shower for my entire back, it's an ordeal just to get the first layer of plasma off. You know what I mean?
It's
like
tattoo snot.
Just trying to get that plasma.
Sticks.
It's literally invincible. Like it.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how much I washed it, it was gonna stay and just stay. It's like I just gotta keep beating it with water. I'm like, this sucks. This fucking sucks.
Ectoplasm.
But like, that's the stuff, if you don't get off when you're covering that much ground, that's the stuff that likes to harden up if you don't get it off.
And I think maybe that's what happened here too, is I just didn't quite get, I mean,
it looks like it's probably like itching like crazy, but it looks really good. Like all those
I wouldn't
light
guess.
colors are still in there.
The rest of it feels amazing. I mean, all of this just feels fine, and there's just so much detail. The sun rays are the way you did the sun rays.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I love playing in the sun rays, but I'm trying to make them like softer, less of a like distinct line, like just the impression of rays.
Yeah.
So, just pushing that a little bit more.
Yeah, I never seen where you guys ended up. I really love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So cool. I love it.
Still a little shiny, but
Yeah, I mean, it's not smooth yet, but it'll get there. It's
Yeah.
only been a week, so there we go.
A little dark over there, but
Has it only been a
still.
week? I felt like it had been 2 weeks.
damn.
No, it's 1 week, dude.
Well, if it's only been a week and it scabbed up and then
Just that one
healed
teeny
up
tiny
that,
little
if
spot.
it healed up that quick,
Yeah.
like sometimes scabs can take like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
If, you know,
Yeah,
when it
I mean,
scabs
I'm
up
not
like
worried.
That, so that's
it's
awesome.
gonna, it's gonna take its time to come off.
I'm excited about this whole project.
Yeah,
I can't
me
wait. Like the scenery in the upper part is just like my daydream playground right now. But I'm really excited to get to the underneath because I want to turn these like volcanic rock forms. I want to like morph those into a coral reef.
Yeah.
So like that'll be the background to even cooler stuff.
Yeah, because like everything here down is underwater, so that's gonna be awesome.
And then those light rays
Yeah.
will continue in the water. So that sun that we've started breaking through those volcanic rocks is
Mm-hmm.
gonna just continue like dancing all the way down to her wrist. Yeah.
That's gonna be so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm really
Yep.
excited to see all
It's
that come
like-
about.
It like gives me the possibility to make that scene so deep and believable. You know, it's like twice as far. I've had one other sleeve that was kind of similar to this, and the upper half was black and gray, but there was a huge cover up in it. So there were a lot of like, I don't want to say there were a lot of compromises that I had to make, but like I was a little bit limited on how much the two stories could correlate with one another because I couldn't have like those bold sun rays breaking through like black tribal cover up.
right.
So, but this
There
will
was
be
some
the
black
first one
tribal
where
up.
all
No,
the,
no,
the light rays actually
no, this
correlate
was-
all the way up.
There was nothing.
That was
here.
fresh. Okay.
It was.
The one you're talking
It was
different one you're
naked.
talking about.
Yep, the one I'm talking about. It's actually been a few years. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It's like a shipwreck, and then there's like
I
bright
think I
orange
remember seeing
octopus
it.
that wraps around the
Yeah.
elbow,
Mhm.
and then it's like the out of focus sharks, kind of like dancing in the light
Yeah.
rays.
Nice.
Mhm.
Sounds awesome. I've
Mhm.
probably seen it.
I should start posting it. When's Shark Week? I should start posting it
In the
on Shark Week.
summertime. Shark Week is always. I love sharks.
It's
Yeah.
always shark.
I mean,
Week.
I like underwater stuff. Period. It's like a whole nother universe.
Oh, I know. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It's one of the
I haven't done
creepiest
enough
places to be, but
underwater
I love
things in a
hanging
while.
out like underneath boardwalks where you can see like all the different life and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
but the bad thing is like other creeps hang out
Right.
under the boardwalks.
Right.
I'd rather be the only creep around.
Are you gonna hit the ocean? You just got back from Florida, so
Yeah,
you were just in the ocean.
So we weren't like in the open ocean. We were in Homosassa, basically
Homosassa.
like where the manatees are. So we were
So
in like,
springs more than.
yep, we were like
Nice.
near the inland springs where the manatees like swim up because it's warmer. So we were in these cool, like crystal clear blue channels of like fresh water.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
That's
may or
fun.
may not
And
have
you
scooped up
guys
some
were-
little baby
You were
plant
kayaking,
babies.
right?
Yeah, I may or may not have scooped up some plant babies and then brought them home and quarantined them for a week and put them in my fish tank.
Nice.
Are they still alive?
Yeah, multiplying. One of the little tiny water lilies has shot off another shoot and is now 2 little water lilies. I think it's a water lily. I'm not sure. I gotta wait and see if it flowers or not, but it might be. Kind of excited.
I'm excited
They're
too.
like these weird little alien plants. Like up close, they look like a tongue. Yeah, they look like they've got like the same way like taste buds or Velcro
Right.
maybe.
right.
They
The
look
little
like they'd be.
the
And then you
furs.
touch them, and then they feel like a succulent. They feel like a real soft succulent.
Okay.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I've been learning about aquatic plants from the Florida springs.
They sure got a lot of aquatic things there.
They do. They do. The
I'm
funny
dying
thing
for
is,
an ocean trip though.
Oh,
I
I've
want to go
got
scuba diving.
I've got
That's all my
an
equipment, and I just haven't used it in like 2 years.
I've got an appointment scheduled where I'm doing a scene from Homosassa, Florida, with like a manatee in the background and the palm trees, and
Right.
so it's really cool that that happens to be the same place that I got to go kayaking when we were down there, because now it like brings so much more than just a photo to what I'm recreating. It's like, oh no, I know what the water looked like. I know how to like I now I know what to embellish. Now I know how to like, here's what it was like.
No, that settles it. We need to go to Vietnam before you finish out these waterfalls.
I mean, I would love to. Do you know? I can't. What are they called?
I-
it's something I
sent
can't
you,
pronounce.
I sent a video, like a drone video of those waterfalls on Instagram. They're amazing. I
I-
can't pronounce it either, but it's pretty cool.
Anytime I'm looking for like a daydreamy landscape scene, if I'm like at our consultation, I'll be like, do you happen to like waterfalls? And so far, I've never met anybody that was like, no, waterfalls are dumb. And I feel like if somebody said that, I would be like, it'd be like somebody telling you they don't believe in aliens.
Yeah, or they don't like puppies.
Yeah,
like,
like how do you not, have you ever been to one?
Have you ever tried to
Like-
find a waterfall?
Yeah.
Have you ever looked for a waterfall?
Have you ever discovered a waterfall that wasn't on the map
You
yet?
must have never actually been in the midst of a waterfall.
Mhm,
So
exactly.
if you've seen a waterfall, it would change your idea of it.
I feel, you know what, maybe somebody that's never been out in nature to experience it. Maybe
Mhm.
that's somebody that could be like waterfalls or dumb.
I definitely think there's those people though that just don't give a shit about nature very much. They just don't pay it
There
much
are
mind,
some
and they're
people that
just
grow up
they're so
so around it
material
that they take
minded
it for
and
granted
like
too.
so like life and my general vicinity minded.
Mhm.
Like what matters to me. What matters to me. I don't want to
Consumerism.
have to think about the things outside of my own life. Like
Mhm.
why would I go walk through the woods? It's like I got all this shit at my house to do. Type
Walking through the woods is my favorite.
process.
Ugh,
I
my
call it
favorite.
playtime. You can go play in the woods.
Yes. Forest breathing.
I feel like as an adult, I have to substitute one of those words because I lose people. So like play turns into hike. If I say play in the woods, people are like, what do you mean play in the woods? I don't know. Run
Yeah.
around, use
Whatever-
your imagination,
whatever the fuck-
explore.
You can imagine that meaning.
I just wrote a blog post about how important play is and how so many adults just like don't even let themselves. It's so sad.
You ever frolic?
Frolicking is awesome.
I
You ever
skip
just go
occasionally.
frolic
Do you
to the
skip?
woods?
Do you skip?
Not as much as I probably should.
I
Jump
skip
in
sometimes.
puddles. Hey, there's a lot of puddles outside right now. Those are perfect for jumping.
I was telling Jordan,
I do enjoy
you-
enjoy
did you park-
jumping off things and jumping off ledges.
I parked
Time
out
like that.
back in behind Jordan's house right now. There's a pond.
Uh-huh.
So I like opened my
Laura
driver's side door.
all the way around to get
I
out
did.
back. I was like,
Aw.
dang.
I opened the driver's side door and it was probably like 4 inches of water. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this isn't going to work. Luckily, I drive a giant van. So I crawled out the back door where it was dry gravel.
Nice.
Always a solution.
Yeah, we need to figure that out.
Do you think we're going to get more snow? Do you think this is springtime? Do you think this is early spring or is this psych?
I think it's full spring and I think it's going to get cold again, unfortunately. As much as I don't want that to be the case.
My gut tells me it's going to get cold one more time.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything with my plants or I haven't even really decided what I'm doing with my garden this year. Do you garden?
Yeah, I do. I have a little bit of an indoor garden going. I have an arrow garden. You know what that is? It's pretty sweet. It sits on my kitchen counter and it's got grow lights and you can just basically
Oh,
grow
one of
whatever
the little
you want.
all-in-one pots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's awesome. I love it. I got it for Mother's Day a couple of years ago. So I grow like flowers in the wintertime. I grow tomatoes in the wintertime. It's really fun. I love it. And then in the spring, I'll take whatever's growing and just transplant it outside into like my actual garden. And
Nice.
I do a lot of pots, container gardening.
Mhm.
I like that too. So yeah,
Nice.
I like growing things. I don't enjoy bugs that much. And so that's why I like to garden inside too,
Right.
where there are no bugs.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of it with
Yeah.
the like the pesticide sprays and the weed begons.
Yeah.
and- I mean, at least you have control over using organic
Exactly.
choices,
Mhm.
but you got to stay on top of it.
Yep. You have so much fun growing it all, watching all those fruits get just perfectly ripe, and then that day you go out there to get them, they're gone.
It's gone. I don't know. My garden
full
did
of
so
bugs.
good last year. I'm only doing half. I'm doing half this year. It's a lot.
You're only doing half as much. Yeah, I mean took out a lot last year.
Well,
For sure, that was
we
every
also
day,
when I started it, we also
hour or two
weren't
process.
tattooing.
might as well been growing weed.
I did enjoy it though. I feel like having all those little baby plant babies
Mhm.
all over the place. And then I probably gave away 400 plants. There
And
was a
lots
lot
of
plant
veggies, I bet.
babies.
Yep.
I turned my whole living room into a greenhouse.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
They took over. Jordan was there. He saw it. It was like at least half of my living room.
Good
was
for the
tiny
air
plant
quality,
babies.
right?
You know, I keep my house so warm. I would say the humidity might be an issue, but my house was always so warm that I had to like extra water everything. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I should do a whole indoor greenhouse again. Maybe I should just get a real greenhouse.
You had the whole idea for what you were doing in the garage.
I still want to do it, but we started a podcast. So the idea of what I want to do
Fair.
with my garage is I want to do a 600-gallon aquaponics indoor garden. Sounds like a lot, but I really love goldfish, and I would just have all kinds of exotic koi and fantail, and like I used to have a shop, a goldfish tank in my tattoo shop. It was a 70-gallon. It wasn't giant, but it was like big enough that you could just like kick back on the couch in my waiting room and just like watch them. And they all had names. So I had like their names written down. So I always liked while I was working, if somebody brought a guest with them, you'd hear them like talking and trying to figure out which one was whose name. And some of them were super duper obvious, but others were like, you'd have to be like, okay, which one do you think is bad fish? And then sure enough, they'd see the one koi that would like pick up a rock and like move it and like bully somebody out of the way. It's like, oh, that's got to be him. And like every time they pick bad fish out.
We had koi in our pond out front of our house, and this little man-made pond. And every fall we would bring them in and put them in a tank, and they would live like kings and get fat and get fed a ton and get really friendly. And then every spring we would put them out, and they would like stop liking people and just become wild fish, and and it was awesome. And we had the same koi. They were basically small goldfish, but they grew into like koi size. But last spring we put them out too early, and they froze.
Oh,
it was so sad.
no.
It was really bad. So they all died. So now, and we didn't buy replacement fish because we were like traumatized by what we had done.
No.
So I happen to have it's a one stall little tiny garage, but it's all brick and it's got a nice concrete floor. Like it's just perfect to like do what I want to do with it, because I'll only have to like insulate the ceiling and the rest will be ready to go. But I think it'll be
animals
cool.
can't get them that way too.
I think it'll be cool. I'll be able to have like
Great.
a legitimate, I mean, I'll have probably 600 gallons in my tank. What I'll actually use is my tank, and then probably another 100 gallons circulating throughout my garage. But I think it'll be really cool to have like a fully aquaponic, like
Water feature.
yeah, it's like hydroponic. It's like the most organic of organic,
Yeah.
You're not adding chemicals. You're just feeding your fish quality food, and then they are feeding the plants, and the plants are then filtering the water.
I feel like there's a balance there that'll be difficult to find.
So the filter is going to be the
Key.
thing. Yeah. My sister has I'm basically getting the exact thing that my sister has for her tank, but 4 times bigger. So she's had this canister filter under her 110 gallon tank longer than she's had Sam, and my nephew, he's almost 12. So it's got like all the different layers of the bio medias and then the bio balls. So it's like an enclosed ecosystem within the canister filter.
Okay.
So I would get what she has, because it's been totally maintenance free, and all she does is occasional water changes.
Okay.
So between that and then the plants pulling out the nutrients that they need, like it should be like, it'll probably take me, I'm gonna say maybe 4 months to set up and get established, and that's going through the process of buying fish, and then once some things are established, I can start introducing new things. But I think
You get there.
4 months. Yeah.
You get there.
Yeah, I was going to do it this fall, but we started a podcast.
Yeah.
It would have been
Here we
cheaper.
are.
It would have been
Episode
cheaper to start
28.
the aquaponics setup in my garage.
I'm glad we did the podcast.
I am
I'm
too.
glad we did the podcast too, but it
We wouldn't
definitely,
be right here.
definitely
We wouldn't even be having the conversation. Fawn would just be
true.
busy taking care of her fish.
I'd be sitting there like
We'll never
kicked
see
back
Fawn
in a
again.
little chaise lounge.
Fawn, you want to smoke a
smoking a
blunt?
bowl.
I gotta take care of
like-
my fish.
No, I'm out here with Bubbles.
Like, all right, I guess I'll come over with the end. Laura.
Yeah.
I got tattoo questions for you.
Okay.
Well, I guess at least one. Oh, so everything you got going on your arm.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty extravagant, awesome piece. A lot going on there. What did you say to Fawn? Like, what was your question? How did you approach her? Like, what was the first thing you did? I mean, probably went through a website.
Yeah, I did. I
Message
filled
her.
out the form online.
What were the words you spoke?
Um,
In
What-
detail, what did
What
you
were
eat
the
that morning?
magic
so
words?
I knew what I wanted. I'm a word person. I'm a writer, and so words are important to me. So, and I knew I had a limited space. At least I thought I probably did. So I was like really thinking about it a lot. So I knew what I wanted, and then I like looked through Fawn's Instagram and read through everything Fawn had posted about what she wants to tattoo, and then I kind of crafted, a description that was like what she wants and what I want, and it really was. I mean, it was true because it's exactly what we got, and it's exactly what I wanted. But I think that
Did you
helped.
contact her before you met her?
Yeah. I was a straight up stranger off the internet.
I remember that from the last.
I could have been a freak.
But like, so in terms
Still
of
might be.
like,
I mean, I definitely am a freak, FYI. But
yeah. Just one-
Let your freak flag
get that
fly,
out there.
lady.
Get it, girl.
Wow, you just made Jordan's Inner Diva come out. Where did that come from? That was
Awesome.
precious.
Oh yes.
And I love that the word freak can mean so many things too. It's like
What did you ask for? Like concept
a
wise?
tropical paradise daydream. So, for
Fawn's
me,
like, say no more.
yeah. I mean, I knew I wanted something travel inspired. Like I love to travel, and I love islands and beaches and, jungles and exploring and waterfalls. And so I knew I wanted something, and like all of 2020 not being able to travel, I was like, this needs to be, if I can't travel, because who knew how long that was all that nightmare was going to go on, right? So I was like, if I can't travel, I want to be able to look at my arm and be transported to
Get
a
those
faraway.
feelings, start smelling sunscreen.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. And it was a good fit.
That's awesome. I like that.
She also had like
it's
a
such a
favorite
daydream,
artist
too,
in
so I
mind
just love
too to
that.
reference.
That's true. Yeah.
And
What'd you say?
she had an artist, like an inspirational
Yeah.
artist.
Christian Reese Lawson. He's this like California surfer dude who lives in Hawaii now and just paints like above and below ocean scenes, like beach and sunset and ocean and underwater reefs. Craziness.
Nice.
Yeah. And just really hyper real colors.
I didn't know the artist's name, but I was definitely familiar with his work because you know how like anytime I'm searching for references, I'm always like sunset palm tree scene, fantasy art. So you get like daydream scenes, not always necessarily photographs, but like pull inspiration from other people's daydreams. And but as I was talking to you, maybe Jordan will remember this. Do you remember a video game called Echo? I think it was on Sony PlayStation. It was about a dolphin. Yeah, that talked to aliens.
I had it on Sega.
Oh, was it Sega?
Fucking
Oh
Sega.
man, maybe it's older than I thought it was. I'm thankful that
But
you remember.
It might have also came out of PlayStation because most people probably don't remember this, but there was a Sega CD that came out. Do you remember Sega CD? That was right around PlayStation 1 time.
Was it like the Dreamcast?
It was before.
Was it before the
way
Dreamcast?
Before the Dreamcast. It was a Sega. So Sega went from the cartridges to the CD as soon as I think PlayStation 1 came out or right around that time. But then pretty much just flopped out as soon as PlayStation came along and destroyed the Sega game.
Well, anyways, I had this game and I enjoyed it. And as we were like consulting about her idea, like I'm having flashbacks of like this like alien or this dolphin like going through these other dimensions and portals. So as I'm daydreaming about like the volcanic rock and what that's going to look like down below, and I'm imagining the lights dancing through, I'm having flashbacks of this game that I played like endlessly whenever I was like waiting on things or trying to fall asleep or
that's awesome.
But it's crazy to like,
because that's the other piece that we haven't talked about is there's going to be like a galaxy, like outer space deal going on at the top. But then also the ocean is going to segue back into like galaxy outer space stuff too at the risk.
So, see why it's so much like the Echo game?
Yeah. Like we can totally do a dolphin. I mean, I'm fine with them.
I mean, we got a lot of work to do on the upper half, and then we're going to have a whole nother, we'll talk so many ideas by the time we get to the lower. But like my mind's just excited for all the scenery. So whatever we have interacting in that scenery, like whatever the story is that's going on in that scenery, we got so many options to play with.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun when projects evolve like this.
Is that your biggest sorry.
Go ahead.
I mean, I have my full back done. But yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't realize how, because it goes all the way around, it's a lot of real estate. So yeah, definitely my biggest one in 20 years for sure. Because I
What do
have
you
my
have on
back.
your back again?
I have like a
You
big
don't have.
corset of flesh on my lower 2/3, which is Alphonse Mucha inspired. Like I basically my artist.
Yeah, I remember
loves
seeing all
Alphonse
that.
Mucha,
Oh, yeah, we
It's like
went over that
greens
last time.
It also has like a slightly sort of underwater vibe, I guess, for the colors. And then the
It
top
could be a
third-
mermaid corset.
It could
be.
totally, yeah,
It could be.
and then the top third is
A mermaset.
yeah, something like that. And then the top third is a Durbanese piece,
Yes.
Durbanese.
the big koi, and it was actually like a triple cover up
Can we copyright that?
Durbanese.
Durbanese.
Yeah, Durbanese.
It's a thing for sure.
I mean, it might be offensive to some.
I mean, I don't think so. I think he giggles every time I like walk. He'll be working on like a Japanese influenced piece, but he always puts so much like new school flair and like his own crazy bold color choices. So
I think it can be. I think it can be coined.
I just,
That's one of my favorite things about the volcano is erupting, and like my fish, my koi is like right there,
I want to
It's kind of fun.
blend those right into one, so it'll all just totally connect.
Dirk was showing me some of the other day. He was really excited about it. He was showing me this drawing he's got that he's about to start, and it's basically just full back like koi dragon thing going on.
Nice.
It's so dope.
Yeah.
It's makes me happy to see Derb do big pieces like that and just getting into his work. He just seems super stoked about it.
And he talks
And
about,
it was such a big piece. It's definitely going to be the biggest piece I've seen from him in a while.
well, he's got so much more time on his hands right now.
More time to tattoo.
Yeah. I think he's really enjoying like actually getting
Did
big projects out there again.
Did you hear about it? Did you hear anything about his Phoenix trip or what he went out there for?
No, I haven't
Were
had a
they
chance to talk
I
to him
didn't
yet.
know if he was going out there to check on the Biltmore.
He definitely. I saw his stories. He definitely. I'm
They
like,
went out to the Biltmore.
yeah. I follow all of the tattoo celebrities, like celebrities. So yeah.
Guys, I can be pretty bad at social media. Stay so busy every day.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
That means exciting things could be coming.
That was my favorite thing about being tattooed at Red Tree was like it was the whole like just rock star after rock star. Like,
Oh geez.
you guys, podcast hosts, and then Derb's in and out, and then
Marty comes in.
Marty comes in, and I was like, oh, will you think I'm a total dork if I bring my Marty book next time?
No,
have him sign it?
not at all. He would,
He'd
you
be
know
so
what?
stoked. He'd be so happy.
He would love to sign
I've
it.
had that book for like 25 years,
Yeah.
and like I never dreamed I'd be tattooed next to him, or that he'd come in and be like, oh, that's really cool,
I mean,
so awesome.
you
That's
could
so
book
cool.
something with him. I want to get worked on by him. I just don't know what. Like maybe you know what I could do is just be like, Marty, we've talked about some crazy things. Here's the spot. Do what you
Just-
want with it.
Yeah, you
Just
should.
do like whatever daydream comes to mind, and he'll end up showing up with like 35 drawings.
Mhm.
And like
That was
I feel
one of
like
my
maybe that's what
favorite
I should
things
just do.
About your podcast last week with Mindy was when you guys were talking about like, yeah, if you want a tattoo from some like mega star tattoo artist, just email them, go to their site, send them a message, like just get tattooed. I was like, yeah, it was so empowering. I was like, yes, this is great.
Yes.
Get
Yeah.
tattooed by anybody.
Yep.
Like,
Some people don't realize that it's that easy.
Right.
The coolest tattoo artist out there just wants to tattoo.
exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And
Best
most
artists
artists
out there.
have like at least enough information on their page that you can somewhat kind of get a ballpark of how much you'd be looking at for your idea, or
Sure.
at least per session. Like, they might not list prices, but most artists are going to let you know a ballpark. So yeah, just go to artist's webpage. It really is that easy. I mean, I have a manager now that handles things, which is awesome because I am so much less stressed out. But do you think it's reasonable and easy, like dealing with another person to
Yeah,
like schedule
definitely.
with me? It wasn't like a hassle. or
No, it
hindrance?
was great. It was great. And I got an automatic response. So I knew it had gone through, because anytime you send a form online, you're like, is it going into a black hole? Is it
Mhm.
really going to get to them? So I liked that I got that thing back saying, okay, we got it. Now just wait. And then, took a little while to hear back because you're a rock star. That's normal.
Oh, I'm not a rock star. I just
Play one on
like
this
to
podcast.
smoke a lot of weed. Just like to smoke a lot of
No,
weed.
your artist speaks for itself. But anyway, so yeah, it was.
Well,
I
thank
was
you.
As a rock star.
I have a hard time
stoked.
accepting compliments like that, but thank you.
Once a month.
I try.
Well, I'm going to give you some more then, because it was the best like overall tattoo experience of my life. Like that whole day, it was just your bedside manner. You know, they say that about doctors, like bedside manner. Like I feel like it's true for tattoo artists too.
Thank you.
Some just don't
I
have
feel like
one.
that's really, really important. That's,
It's
if there's anything
huge.
that I want other tattooers to learn from this show, we talk all the time about how, this is information for collectors and like we want tattooers to share this with your collectors. But the thing that you can learn from us is that bedside manner. Like,
For
and if
sure.
you just think about like what you would expect if you were being tattooed, like I like being babied. I like when you like acknowledge, like, yes, I'm hurting you, but it's okay.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I'm so like empathetic to the whole process as well.
Because you're a heavy collector too. Yeah, that makes such a difference. I liken it to going to the dentist. I mean, sometimes, you have to go to the dentist and spend a couple hours there and, you can have an experience that's terrible because the dentist is literally just doesn't care about your comfort and it's just like,
hold on, I gotta pause for a second. So Jordan, he keeps getting up and looking out the window. What are you checking out the window for?
Bought a little robot.
Oh my God, Amazon is coming again today?
It's not Amazon. It's even better than Amazon. I bought a little like $800 robot.
Oh my
and
God.
I have to sign for the package.
Okay.
And so I got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have
introduce
a
him to you
special
guys once he's in
unboxing
here, as long
episode
as he's
for
all
our new
charged up.
character.
He's got a little AI in him. He's a little, so he's like, one of his best things is that he like can help teach coding and like STEM and like
Oh my
everything for
God.
robotics. So I got him to help me learn that. But the other cool thing about him is that it's one of like the smartest AIs that you can get as like consumer AIs. And so it like gets to know different people and reacts based on, your interactions
Will it
that
like
you have with
greet
them.
your pets and
Yep,
stuff?
it'll learn your pets and it'll get to know
awesome.
them. And it's honestly, it's only like this big and it's like a desktop pet, but like if you kept coming through, it's gonna get to know you. Like it's
Oh
gonna
my
get to
gosh,
know
that's really
Ron, it'll
cool.
get to know me, and it's just gonna chill on my desk while I do stuff all the
That's
time.
awesome. I
He's got
love
like
it.
3 little blocks that he can like play with and do stuff with.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Jordan's just really, really excited about this.
Oh,
So he's really excited. So back to dentist.
I've been last year with my year of like dental hell, and I had a lot of like multi-hour dental, and some of the dentists that I went to were like just all business and just like get you numbed up and then just go to town and like they're not checking in or anything. And then I went to this one dentist and I felt like I was at a spa. They were like, would you like a warm, comfy blanket? Would you like headphones with whatever music you'd like to listen to? Would you like to wear sunglasses so the light's not blinding you? Like, and then kept checking in with me and just, it was awesome. It was just a different, and I had the same equivalent dental work done at both places, but the second experience was just so much better. And that's how it was getting tattooed by you at Red Tree. It was just like I just felt like you welcomed me into this like very cool world. And like, at one point you had to go get supplies and you could have just left me there and been like, I'll be right back. I'm just going to get supplies. And I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But instead you were like, come with me and you can get a tour and see the whole place. And it was just really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. We're all so proud of the studio.
Yeah, awesome.
Being that I'm the only member left that was at the old Red Tree location. Okay. So I feel like Jordan came shortly after we were like settled into the new warehouse. So like me, Tony, Derb, let's see, and Jules, we're the only ones on the team. And then there's Brian Midkiff, who's been a guest on our show. But like we're the only ones left that actually like saw the transition from the old location to the new location. I don't know. It's like having a guest at home and like just showing them through every room because like every room has something to be proud of, like when I have somebody at the shop for the first time, I hope nobody gets mad that I do this, but like I even like go through each artist's studio and I'll like flip the light on and we don't go in and go through anything.
We open the drawers.
We open the drawers. Like these are the kinds of needles that Cam uses.
No. I just like to encourage everybody to pop their head in and look at
the way this paint feels.
Look at everybody's art.
The texture.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Don't scratch the texture.
But I do encourage everybody to pop their head. Like sometimes we'll walk into Marty's room just so you can really see all of his art. I always take people Marty's room. I always take people all the way into Derb and Ben's room just because they've both got like Derb's got a lot of just amazing history in there that everybody should see. And Derb's got just a great classic, like traditional art collection in there as well. So like I encourage everybody to pop their head through there, and then it starts to make more sense when you ask for like an idea that's a little bit like outside of my realm. Then it's so much easier to be like, but did you see the paintings over in Marty's room, or did you see like, you know, the charcoal drawing that Dante just shared? You know, those things, like when you see how talented everybody is in their own field and how everybody's just doing all of this amazing art, it makes it so easy to be like, oh yeah, like I want to collect from them also.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a I don't know, it's just nice to have an environment like where clients feel comfortable going to each and every one of us, and it's not a competitive thing, and it's not like, I guess you go to some studios and it almost feels like a betrayal if your
Right.
client goes to somebody else.
Right
Like,
now, me and Brandon
"Aw,
have a collab
like,
that we're about to do.
you went to such and such, like why didn't you book with me again? Like, were you unhappy? Like, what they do, what I do?" And but at our studio it's not like that. It's really like we've got people coming through to collect art. So if you collect a piece from me, I would love for you to collect from my
Right.
coworker.
We'd
And I,
literally be tattooing somebody, and they're be talking about this kind of tattoo that they want. Like, oh, it would be really good for that. Dante would do that really well, or
Yeah.
Fawn would do that really well. Like, I'd love to do it too if you just want me to do it, but like these guys fucking kill it. So,
like, I mean, I can do it and fake it,
and I'm
or
pretty
like
sure-
you can go to
I'm pretty
somebody
sure
that does it every day.
We're all like that, I don't think there's any one of us at the studio that are really trying to, hoard their clients and like hold on to them that hardcore, because we all have enough. I mean, none of us are hungry. We're
Right.
all
Well, everyone.
we all have enough.
Yeah.
We all have enough on our plate.
Everyone's at a certain like echelon, I think.
Well, and we got to give our community credit too. Like, there are a lot of amazing collectors
Yeah.
in like Columbus and Central Ohio, and like,
Absolutely. I mean, that we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now without that.
yeah, this community is just great.
Do most of your clients come from the state, within the kind of Ohio, or do they come from? Well, you
I'd
tattoo
say-
in Michigan too, don't you?
Yeah, I would say 70% of my clients right now are coming from Columbus,
Okay.
and then there's another 30% that are coming from Columbus and Ohio, and then I'd say there's quite a few other people that come from Michigan and Detroit and some other places that are right around. Some people surprise me; they won't even tell me, and then like now it's on my job form. You gotta write it on there, so I'll see right away that you're traveling. I'll ask about it. But before, people would come and they'd be like, "Yeah, I just drove here from what was it like? Might have been like Virginia or West Virginia."
Oh my
But it also
gosh.
sounds really weird to me. It's not really that far, but I'm used to being in Michigan, where like West Virginia is a 14-hour, 14-hour trip. It's like, dang, you didn't even say anything, which is cool, but I don't. It's a long way to drive.
I don't know. I've driven all the way to Georgia so many times to get work done.
Yeah,
So many times.
I don't think that it's weird that they did that. It's just it's weird when I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
Oh.
and I get surprised. I'm like, oh dang, that's super awesome.
Well, thanks for your dedication.
Yeah,
Let
dang.
me knock this one a little further out of the park.
Right, exactly.
No sleeping on this one. Sleep at the wheel. I've been, I've got a handful of clients from like the Dayton area right now. I've got a buddy. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. I've known him for years, but he recently moved down to Kentucky. So he drives up from Kentucky once a month for me to work on him. It's like a 4-hour drive.
What's the farthest? That's the farthest that you say your clients come from?
I've got one guy that is coming from Tennessee, I believe. That might be a little bit further. I don't know. I've got a guy out in Vegas that comes to me regularly, and like his whole family. But like he also like, I don't know. He does business in Ohio and Vegas, so like I don't know that he's traveling specifically. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how, I should,
Yeah.
That's the thing. I should ask more people how they like stumbled upon my work, and like, I wonder how many
I
people
always
just
like to
find me
ask.
by like stumbling upon my work on Instagram or the
Word of
book,
mouth, looking
or
for someone
or
else.
yeah, like from another collector. How do you find me?
I started researching women tattooers in Columbus specifically.
Okay.
That's how I narrowed it down. And then I just started like looking at like all of the women tattoo, and there were a lot of great ones. But I saw your art, and I was like, oh, she's the one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I used to
Thank
use
you.
all the time. I used to use tattoo like a girl is my favorite
I love
hashtag. That was my favorite. I don't really hashtag anymore because I'm lazy, and I feel like after all the political stuff that the hashtag algorithms are all so different now, like it kind of got broken. So I'll probably go back to hashtagging soon, but right now it's like, I don't know if this is even
I do
working.
minimal hashtags for sure. I'm stoked to find out about the tagging feature. I knew you could tag. Like, I never really thought about it. I thought like if you put like at a name on Instagram that like that would tag far away from the mic, far away from the mic, far away from the mic. I thought if you just put like at and then their name in your thing that was going to tag you and put the thing on their profile. But I've been doing that with all my photos and everything for the whole time of me having Instagram. And then Derb's like, oh no, you like click the photo and then you
can
add
a tag,
and then it puts it on their profile.
Yep.
Or through that little box thing. And that was like, oh shit, I've been missing out.
Otherwise, you're just commenting, like adding a comment.
Yeah.
I see.
I know. I don't always remember to tag either. It's another step.
Right.
But
made me feel good though, because I was like, oh shit. You know, it's just something to grab hold of.
Yeah.
I should start tagging random strangers.
Just start putting your work in random stuff. Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Just tag like
Robert
7 times.
27, you're getting some shit today.
You're getting tags.
Right? You're gonna get some things.
But
you
make
didn't
it
ask for.
make it a really cool photo, like a tattooed armpit, you know,
Okay.
and then tag just a bunch of people. Yeah.
Start tagging the opposite of the people you would expect to tag. We're going
Like,
for new demographics here.
Like a super feminine girly tattoo and tag like men with tattoos, masculine tattoos. Hashtag a boy named Sue. Hashtag. Great.
Things like that.
All of them. All the hashtags. Get the exact opposite of what you're looking for.
I like this.
By the wrench in the cog. Oh yeah, this is.
We didn't have this last
No,
time.
you were just getting it.
This is the plasma ball. This is where
I
we.
like it.
We got plasma ball in the picture.
I don't know.
Kind of.
Maybe.
Yeah, there it is.
We could zoom in.
It's so cool. But
Oh,
I want it to be super strong, like when they have it cosi where your hair actually lifts up.
These got me really wanting to make like my own version of it.
So I know a glass blower in Michigan. He's a boro artist.
Whoa.
You got shot?
Did you get a shot?
Yeah, I
got a
got
shot?
shocked by this. That's not a good thing.
But he actually makes 3D sculptures. So they're like enclosed vessels, and then he fills them
I'm
with
not getting
different
shocked anymore.
gases. So they're actually different colors of the like plasma lightning.
Ooh.
The
really
piece that
cool.
I saw, one chamber was green and the other chamber was yellow. And he said that he has somebody help him fill them with the different gases because he was just learning which gases produce which colors once they're charged. So it's really a cool thing, and it lets me know like, oh, the possibilities.
Oh, the possibilities.
Oh,
is
the
right.
possibilities.
And how cool.
Yeah.
I mean, how fucking cool. I love like random patterns like from nature like that, but it's also like influenced from us, but it's all kind of natural in essence.
Yeah. It's wicked.
Do you remember a few weeks ago when I took those slow-mo videos of the plasma when we were
wish I had
sitting here?
noise.
Wow.
Should have noise.
Wow.
Electrical like Tesla coil sound.
So I was talking to my buddy Cam, and we ended up using some of those photos, the slow motion videos. I took some stills from those and using them directly in a tattoo. We didn't get that far on the session, but it's going to be like this weird glowy head in the top of this robot, but it's going to be filled with the plasma ball instead of,
That's awesome.
a head.
It looks so cool when you zoom into that and just hold it right on that and just looking at them in like a microcosmic kind of way, or like a macro shot.
Yeah, it's just crazy the way the camera lens catches it in a different way than our naked eye does. Like you actually will see like the energy whip and come back on the camera, where here it almost looks like it's just blinking out, but it's whipping across the atmosphere. We either need to smoke more weed or we've smoked too much.
We need to smoke more weed. There's been some cool alien stuff happening. I think it's time to talk about that.
I am going out west next week, and I'm really hoping to see some aliens.
Oh, where are you
Just look
going?
for them.
We are
for 'em.
flying into LA, and then we're driving through Vegas up into Arizona, and ending up at the Grand Canyon.
Nice. Are you going to spend some time at the Hoover Dam?
We weren't planning to. So our first,
Screw the Hoover Dam.
Look, the first time I went through, we just stopped and I planned on just like, we'll just stretch out and look at it.
Yeah,
And then
I'm
I
sure
was
we'll do
so bummed out that we didn't
Oh,
take the time.
really?
But
The
but I'm
security's
so
so
mechanical.
intense there right now.
It's like,
and we're going to be so close to Area 51.
it's all of that, like
That's not that far away.
that, like
It's like
20s style
is it 2
architecture that
hours?
just
No,
pulls
no,
my
that's really
trigger.
far. But anyway, yeah, it's a big
Go
old
there.
road trip. I'm really excited.
do the extra Twistville Highway.
We're staying at Lake Powell for 2 nights, and then we're staying at the Grand Canyon for a couple of nights. And I really wanted to do Antelope Canyon, which is like one of those really cool slot canyons. It's just really beautiful.
I know the one you're talking about.
But you can't get
Yeah.
in right now because it's on Navajo land, and Navajo is like all shut down because of the COVID. But I found out you can still see parts of it from the water, so we're going to kayak Antelope
Okay,
Canyon, which
that
I'm
would be
really
cool.
excited about.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
How long are you going to be out there? A week?
a week. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
And we're stopping in this little ghost town called Oatman, Arizona, where it's like there's nothing going on there. It's a ghost town literally, but there's these burrows that come down out of the hills into town every day,
Mhm.
and like you can see the carrots and
Aw,
stuff. And
It's
like
so cute.
I know, and they come right up to your. I just want to hang out with burrows. Like I just think that sounds fun. And so we're doing that one day, and it's kayaking and
A family
just
trip
a
or
ton-
just you and your
family
husband?
trip. Yeah,
Nice.
family trip. Yeah. So a lot of hiking, a lot of driving.
It's gonna be so much
It'll
fun.
be good. I'm excited. I just want to get outside and
So when
you
you
know.
look for UFOs,
Yeah.
first thing to do, get used to all the sky, and
Right.
don't expect to see anything within like 15 minutes to a
yeah,
half
you just
hour.
have to
You gotta
kinda
like let
chill
your.
and, yeah.
It's not like
Let your
it'll, like,
eyes
come out,
adjust.
in a little while.
Mhm.
It's like they're innately probably there somewhere.
Right.
It's just you got to get used to, what's in
Right.
the sky. Get used to like, okay, those are satellites, those are planes. Get used to what the planes look like and different paths. And
Mhm.
if you start seeing a plane there, for the next like 15 minutes, you're probably
Right.
still going to be able to see that plane, go by.
Yeah.
And then after you get used to that stuff, then you start seeing like, wait, I thought that star right there was, or that thing right there was over there. But
Mhm.
why is that slowly moving now? Wait, it stopped. What's going on? Oh, there's another one. Oh, I love it. I hope you see something.
So is there more UFO activity, or are we just more like open to it now?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were going to say out west. I
Yeah,
was
that's
going to
what I
say
thought
out
you were going
west.
for.
I think there's just less light
I think
pollution,
just
Yeah,
so
for
you
sure.
become
skies.
more aware of it.
Yeah.
So back several years ago, there was a power outage in LA, and all these people like simultaneously started calling 911 because they saw this crazy thing in the sky.
Was
As
this
it
the one in
turns
like
out,
1958?
no. As it turns out, it was the Milky Way.
Oh,
They had
Wow.
never seen the Milky
Right.
Way, so like they were alarmed by this
Mhm.
just like gaseous like formation of
Mhm.
like basically heaven opening up above them.
Yeah.
have you ever seen the sky like that? Like out like in the
Yes.
desert or somewhere
Yes.
super clear where
So-
it's like hyperspace?
Yeah. So my childhood vacations at the time, I was like, oh, this sucks. I hate it. But now looking back, I'm like, fuck, that was amazing. I wish I could go
Mhm.
back with my adult mind, you know what I mean? But my parents were sailors, and so they loved to sail. And so we would take sailing vacations all over the world. And
How did
Oh,
we start
man.
doing a water tattoo and you didn't tell me that your parents were sailors?
I don't know, but
Okay,
yeah,
she left that out.
yeah. So anyway, and I grew up on an island, like,
Yes.
yeah. So
I
Yeah.
need the details. I need the meat.
I'm an island girl and a sailing girl. But anyway, so yeah, our vacations, like my friends were all going to Disney, and I was like, oh, come on, mom and dad, can we do that? And they were like, no, we chartered a yacht in the Caribbean. And I was like, no, that sucks. Because as a kid, you're trapped on a little boat with your family, like nothing to do, no
Yeah,
TV. Like,
no, I loved my family, but I didn't like being in family situations
Yeah.
like that. You don't feel free. You
no,
don't
there's
like,
no
you're
way to
like,
escape when you're in the middle of the ocean. I
Right.
mean, it's intense. But the stars, God, my God, the stars. You know,
I've not experienced the
Ugh.
stars out on the open ocean.
incredible.
the ocean has to be as crazy as it is in the best places in like in the desert.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
imagine.
it's amazing. I've like when it was really slow and there wasn't much wind, my parents would let me swim off the back, and we were in 1,000 feet of water, or literally you didn't know the depth because it was so deep. The depth finder couldn't tell you how deep it was. And then as I'm swimming back there, my parents would be like, come closer to the boat. And it's because they suddenly got a 50 feet, 50 feet, 50 feet. And that meant something big was swimming like only 50 feet below us, like, but yeah, they let me swim. And so yeah,
Oh my
I love
God.
the ocean.
It's so eerie.
It is.
Love it.
And
So scary.
so we used to take sailing vacations around Long Island where I grew up, but also, just all around. Sailed in the Caribbean and the South Pacific. It's probably my favorite. That was insane. But yeah,
How young were you?
I was pretty much all the way from, little to when I moved out and went to college.
That's really cool. What a life.
It was awesome looking back, but again,
Right. You grew
we
up
didn't
with it
like- my
as a
brother and
kid,
I-
it was like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
it was just
trapped.
yeah,
probably.
trapped. And like I was only allowed to bring so many books. I was a reader too, an avid reader, so I was only allowed to bring like one like carry-on size bag full of books, and I would get through those in like 2 days, and then I'd be like, no books, nothing to do. My brother would fish, but I didn't like fishing, and so it was just. But I would just stare down into the waves and look for mermaids and sea creatures, and
So cool.
it was awesome. It was
So
definitely
cool.
cool. But yeah, so I have seen the stars the way they're meant to be seen, and
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, there
Ugh.
really is nothing like it. Like I
No.
cannot stress it enough.
Mhm.
I love it
Yeah.
so much. I grew up on a lake in Michigan, and on that lake, it was. I mean, you could see the Milky Way. It was very clear, but there was still light pollution coming
Mhm.
off. 20
big cities, yeah.
from Grand Rapids and from
Mhm.
the big cities off in the distance, always affected it. But I thought, I don't know, I had this idea of like what the clearest night
Right.
would look like. And then I went to Death Valley and sat out in the middle of this
Oh,
these
yeah.
sand dunes in Death Valley, and I understand how people thought it was like a UFO or something.
Yeah.
It looks like there's like the universe is crashing into the world.
Yeah.
Like it is insane.
and you
it
just feel so tiny.
and then it had me thinking like we have this idea of what space looks like and like what space looks like from like the ISS and like from other things.
Mhm.
But it's gotta like it looks like that from Death Valley
Yeah.
on Earth. Imagine what it looks like if you're
I know.
in space, surrounded by from in every direction. And they even talk about it. Like astronauts will talk about how their
Yeah.
cameras they're not really meant to pick up all the stars and stuff. So
Exactly.
they pick up, and it's so bright, like everything's super bright that the sun bounces off. So the ISS is getting so much reflectivity off of it. When their cameras are out, the exposure and everything, it's just all on that. So the focus goes away from the lights in the
Right.
background. So we tend to think it's just almost like black with little blips of light because all the things you're seeing from like ISS and live photos or anything
Mhm.
like that just
I
doesn't,
can't wait
does
until we
not
can
do
see a
it
sunrise
justice.
from space.
Did I tell you about the new? I don't know a ton about it, so I can't go too off in detail about it. But there's a new telescope that they're putting out, and it's the most powerful telescope that has ever been created. But I know like the data.
Is this the one that's
data
like a collaboration of 3 agencies?
It might be. I don't know that much about it. I don't know that far, but I do know that like the amount of information that it's taking off of the pictures that it takes is just exponentially way bigger. Like let's say these numbers aren't right, but I know it was like 10 times more or like something around that. So like let's say like every photo we were taking was
That
like
means you can just
anywhere
visually
from like
zoom in
10 to
times
200
further.
megabytes like or something per picture.
Mhm.
Now they're like a couple gigabytes per picture.
Man.
Those numbers are off, but I know they were
It's gonna get to the point where like one image will be a terabyte. Or you'll get like
And so
little blips where like
so it's
it
taking
might
thousands of
time-lapse
pictures.
things and you'll be able to see things move.
With such high resolution, what you get is being able to infinitely go into these pictures. And it's just like you see the galaxies. Now we're going to be able to see farther into the galaxies that we see.
Would we lose our thing?
Oh, we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back.
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
No peer pressure.
That was my habitual pass to the other person in the room.
We actually have a new vent fan installed. And you know what? I think the light situation is way better with this. Now that we've got new camera angles, I kind of like this natural sunlight coming in. I think lighting wise, we're the best we've been.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It helps the camera pick us up.
Nice.
It was getting really dark before.
It was more like a spaceship before.
I like that. I upgraded to 5G internet.
Whoa.
Because of the 5G, it made it so my colored lights are incompatible.
Oh no, that's sad.
It is sad. And I guess colored lights aren't technology friendly enough to be 5G yet. They run off those 2G things.
Bummer.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
My kiddo just had a slumber party last weekend, and we had a glow theme, and I had like, this sounds really bougie, but I had a party planner lady come and set it all up for me, and she's
Hold on a second. So
I know,
you were just talking about your childhood on a yacht, and you're worried about sounding bougie. Continue.
Trust me, the yacht was not. It was like a small sailboat, and it was not fancy at all. And it was just
I don't know, Jordan. What was your yacht like growing up?
It was a small sailboat with like very limited shower capacity.
Our yacht was a pontoon boat.
By the second day, everyone smelled like summer sausage. It was not glamping. It was roughing it on this boat.
Fair.
I mean, we washed in the ocean every day, but we were just salty and crusted. And I think
this is like the epitome of first world problems.
yeah, maybe you're right.
It's okay. Continue.
Or
so
maybe
you're worried about sounding bougie
it
because
literally
you had
started
help.
to give her like those third world problems because she's living on a boat doing all those things. So it's like you are kind of roughing it.
I mean,
if you spend your life kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you invest in a boat and get a boat, maybe you weren't rich, you got a boat. And
But in reality, if Waterworld happens,
and then kind of live
I'm
the
calling
boat,
Laura.
not make
yeah,
it
no,
up.
I should be pretty well equipped.
I always say if this, that, or the other happened, I'm
I
going
love that
rural,
movie.
I'm doing things. But like if Waterworld happens, We're
I
in
love
it.
that movie. That is an underrated movie. I feel
I'll
like
help you grow things.
not
We'll
enough
keep
people.
things growing. We'll have
That's
all
our
kinds
future.
of like
We did not
filtration
recycle
systems.
our pee to drink though. We did have fresh water to drink. We did
You know
not.
what? I feel like what I would
Lame.
do is we could just build like an evaporation system with like all of the glass I've
Right.
accumulated. We'll have all these little tiny bongs that have been converted into water distillers, like little chillers, so that like
Just constantly like
Yeah, so we're
bubbling in
just,
the
like,
background.
we'll boil the salt water via the ocean, but via solar energy, and then it will distill, and we'll constantly be able to like a couple ounces at a time.
Can you
throughout the day.
properly distill like that?
Yeah.
Why don't we
Yeah,
do that?
they do. I
Do
think I think they do. Yeah.
I just think most people that are stranded in the ocean forgot to grab that on their way out the door.
Have
Their
you guys,
Well, they don't-
home
they're-
distillation kit.
Crazy.
Have you
Oh
guys
man, I
ever
left my
seen
chiller
I
the
never
again.
leave my house without my distiller.
Life is Pie?
I haven't. I've always been told
my
that's
God.
one that I need to watch,
Life
so but I
of
haven't seen
Pi.
it.
Like get good
Seen
and
that one,
baked,
yeah.
and then watch it on like as big a screen as you
Yeah,
can.
that's a James,
Jordan's
I
got a
think that's
projector,
James Cameron
and
movie.
we've got a warehouse.
I'm like,
Ang Lee.
is that who does it?
I'm not sure, but it is visually gorgeous.
Nice.
But there's a hell of a lot of time spent on a little raft in the middle of the ocean, and it came with a little distiller kit, so he's able to, make fresh water.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah.
Since you're making the trip.
You want just a little bit of cream?
Yeah. Not as much as you put in yours. It's like half cream.
But anyway, so this,
Like a
this
third.
glow party reminded me of your studio. I was like when the lady set it up, I went down there and I was like, okay, A, this is epic and amazing and thank you. But B, like in my mind, I was like, this reminds me of Jordan's studio.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Glad I could pop back up.
Yeah. It was pretty fun.
That's so cool that you were sailing your whole life. though.
I wish I had appreciated it more. I wish I had taken more pictures, cameras and phones were not, well, we didn't have cell phones back then, and cameras just weren't as ever present. Like I think my parents probably take a couple of pictures, but not a lot. And so yeah, it's just all up here. And there were some scary moments too. Like we got caught in squalls and thought we were gonna die, and
What's a squall?
a storm at sea. And there was just one time where we were anchored in a cove off of Mexico. And I wasn't that young. I was probably in my 20s when this happened, because we did continue to take trips even once I was like a quote unquote grown up. And so we were off of Baja, Mexico, and anchored in this little cove. And we were the only boat there. And that like should have been our tip off. Like, this is not a good place to anchor. But we were like tired and we wanted to just rest and eat and stuff.
Right.
So in the middle of the night, a squall came up and the bottom of the cove was sand. And so our boat just started drifting towards these rocks, big, like boat killing rocks.
Yeah.
And so we all woke up, of course, because the boat was rocking to and fro and the waves were really big. And so simultaneously you have to like get the engine going, get the anchor up, and it's pouring rain and it's blowing and it's scary. And my dad, who's really the primary sailor in my family, because my mom is a sailor, but not as hardcore as my dad.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you call your dad Captain Ron?
No, he is the captain for sure. But no,
but not Captain Ron.
But he definitely has a lot of shirts that say the captain and all that. And my mom's first mate.
He probably laughs and it's like, yeah, call the captain.
Pretty much. But yeah, so my dad, who's like our go-to guy, especially in a bad situation like this, which is hella scary. My dad slips off. He was up on top of, like, coming down from getting the anchor up, I guess, and he slipped on the top of the boat and fell in through the opening to the bottom of the boat and fell all the way down and like basically landed at the bottom. And we were all like, holy shit. Like we all thought we were gonna die. And my brother is like trying to like do the engine part, and my mom, bless her heart, love her dearly, she doesn't do well in panic situations. She kind of runs around like a chicken without a head, like her arms are kind of like going like this. I mean, she just, she just is screaming and
losing it.
Yeah. And my dad is like, we're all looking down there like, holy shit, did he just die? And he's like grayish white, just obviously in shock. And his limbs are arranged normally, so we didn't think he had broken a limb, but it was such a far, it was probably, I don't know, 10-foot fall. And he was like holding his sides, and we were like, holy shit, he probably broke ribs. And turns out he probably did. So anyway, long story short, it was terrifying. And we got my dad like to a sitting position, and we got the boat, anchored properly, and the storm started to subside, which thank God. None of us slept again that night. Obviously, we just stayed up and like made sure
all that adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, exactly. But in the morning, a small cruise ship came into the cove and anchored not too far away from us. And so instantly, I'm like, big brain on me. There might be a doctor on that ship. Like, it's not a huge cruise ship, but it's big enough. There might be a doctor. So, because my dad is still looking rough, and his ribs are like all black and blue and purple. And I'm like, we have to see if there's a doctor. So I get in a little dinghy with my brother. We motor over to the boat. We yell up, hey, do you guys have a doctor on board? And they're like, yeah, we do. What's up? And we told them my dad had a fall. And so the doctor came, and he gets this literally a little black bag, like in the movies, comes in our dinghy. We take him over to our boat. Turns out he's literally a retired pulmonologist. Like, that's his specialty, is lungs.
Nice.
So yeah, it was
perfect
awesome.
Person to thanks, universe.
Exactly, right? So he listened to my dad and was like, yeah, you probably have a couple broken ribs, but your lungs seem fine. And so yeah, the rest of the trip was without incident.
Good.
But
oh man,
yeah, there were lots of stories like that though, because I mean, anytime you spend that much time on a boat, like things are going to happen.
Well, you're not in charge. There's the element of nature.
Exactly.
Yep. It's got to be humbling. Like, even if you do absolutely everything right, nature is still bigger and more powerful.
Where were you when that happened?
Like in the waters off the coast of Baja, Mexico, in the Sea of Cortez, basically.
Dang.
Which, you want to talk about cool sea life.
Have you been caught in like huge swells and stuff in the middle of the ocean or anything like that, where you're just giant rolling waves?
So I haven't been technically in the middle of the ocean. I mean, I guess I have. We sailed from Long Island to Nantucket several times, which you do cross some big ocean there. And yeah, there were some big swells, big storms. The good thing about storms at sea, they typically don't last. Like, they typically are like, they come and then they go,
It just passes right over.
But yeah, the waves are scary for sure. Like, when the waves are like as big as your boat, it's like, whoa, you just feel so little.
Yeah.
And
I just feel like I'd have that feeling of this boat is my entire lifeline.
Right.
And if anything happens to this, we're all fucked.
Well, yeah. And as an adult, I've watched plenty of like, shipwreck movies.
Every fear encounter you can
have. Have you seen A Perfect Storm?
Yeah.
That's what I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
It's just those big swells. I've also just seen so many YouTube videos of like, crab boats in the middle of the ocean and stuff. And it's just like, first person video footage of like them just going over these huge waves and just like going way.
Oh, I know.
Hundreds of feet. And it's just like, or at least like 100 feet.
So my brother and I often talk about it. Like, we still have nightmares about some of the, storms that came up, and like, we still have like almost like trauma from those trips. Not all of them ended in something bad, but like enough of them did that we were like, just always kind of freaked out. And so here we are adults, and my brother has kids, and he just got a boat, and like now they're taking boat trips every weekend. And I'm like, really?
I thought you were traumatized, bro.
But he got a motorboat, not a sailboat. He feels like he has more control this way. But I'm like, do you though? Because if the engine fails on a motorboat, you're really screwed. Like, at least on the sailboat, when our engine would fail, we still had the sails,
I feel like a lot of people that have the open ocean speedboats, you're not talking one engine. You're
That's very true.
talking
Yeah,
several
sure.
failures before you're actually stranded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got backup systems on backup systems, and then they've got built-in pumps to like get water
Yeah.
out. And so, I mean, it would take several
Something really,
failures.
yeah, something really catastrophic.
Yeah, it would take several failures
It
for
is pretty
anything
funny though. That,
catastrophic.
like,
You're right.
he's obviously he felt the call of the wild, I guess, or whatever. You know, he felt like he had to get back out there. And they live in LA, so they have amazing dolphin encounters like almost every weekend.
Okay.
They send us videos, and I'm like,
I think that's how I want to retire. Is I want to become a captain and just
Nice.
have a nice boat in the ocean somewhere.
You know, I could see myself
I don't
having
need
a
nothing huge or
houseboat.
anything, just like, you know, small chartery style. Like maybe I'll take people on tours, make some money here and
Yeah.
there, do a tattoo here and there.
I
But
have a friend
just to be able
who's
to
a chef.
live out in the ocean every day.
I have a friend who's a chef on boats, on yachts. Like that's what he does. He's down in the islands always, just moving around from island to island. And
What
he
if
just-
my clientele got
sounds
bougie enough that I
amazing.
could just
Dolphin
float around in
tours,
the
that'd be a good
ocean
life.
and
Just
like
living off dolphin
helicopter
tours.
people into me?
Mm,
Be like, oh, well, it'll be like this much for 3 days on my yacht while
Yeah.
I'm like tattooing you. And I use the term yacht loosely, but come on,
Maybe that's what we should be saving up for. Huh?
maybe.
a yacht and an airplane.
I'll go halvesies.
On a yacht, I feel like we're going to be able to afford an airplane a lot quicker. You can get a used 6-seater for about 60 grand.
But can you fly it?
Oh, I want to
We're
get my
gonna learn.
pilot's license.
It's cool.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that'll
that's definitely-
happen.
definitely
That's not
what I
even like a maybe. That will happen. So by the time I have one, yes, I'll be able to fly it.
I don't know. I feel like it's more realistic that you'll be tattooing
Mile
on
High
some
Tattoo
nice
Club.
boat before you're tattooing out in the sky.
Mile High Tattoo Club.
That's what I do want to get.
You
I
want a
do
Mile
wanna-
High tattoo?
I know.
Where should we
No,
fly?
I want to get a jet.
Where
that
should
I
we
can
fly?
tattoo
Oh,
yeah, I do want to get tattooed
only-
up there for the novelty, but like that,
the-
it's nothing in comparison to the feeling of having the jet.
Yeah.
and
could be
tattooing
the
in the jet.
only
I would feel like
tattoo
I bossed
studio
out in life.
on an airplane. Like people have built tattoo studios and RVs as long as like, you know, RVs have been a
But
thing.
think about
But a tattoo
it would
studio
be
in an
so for
airplane,
show. It would be so for show because think about the amount of resources that go into you tattooing that day.
I mean, we all
That's a
waste
lot
our
of-
money
that's a
on
lot.
dumber things.
You know
Do you know how
though?
much it costs to run a speedboat for a day in the
Right,
ocean?
so
You
you-
might as
yeah,
well
so
fly from
you-
one city to another.
It'd
Yeah.
be if you want to get tattooed for like, you know, $10,000 for $1,000 session.
In all seriousness, though, I think that you guys are onto something because there is definitely
If
a
it was just
market.
the bougie experience, like
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
have the time of your life. You're gonna get beat up for these 2 days, but you're
Who's
gonna
buying
have a
the- who's buying
blast.
the plane? I think if we
It's
go
already on
halvesies
my
it,
list. Do you want to go in
It's already
halfsies?
on my list. Look it. It's
You
right
want to go in
here.
half? I mean, I don't know when I'm going to be able to check that off of the list, but it's on the list.
Think of all the
That's
celebrities
what I-
on my
who-
shop. shopping
that's what I like
list.
to hear.
Think of all the celebrities who
that.
travel
That's
on
the
a regular
attitude.
basis, some even weekly, from
Have
New
that
York
attitude.
to LA. And think about how many of them like tattoos and want to get tattooed. And that's just a good use
The
of that
power to be
time.
like, oh, I'll be there in 3 hours. Give me a minute. Let me call. And you know, if you're using little municipal airports, it's really easy to be like, hey, can you have my such and such ready in a half hour? I'll be
Mhm.
there in a minute. And the cool thing, even with older planes, used planes, they've got to get recertified every single year. So
Mhm.
it's not like you have the option of buying a lemon
Mhm.
because everything is constantly kept up on. Like, I mean, from what I've read, there are planes in the 70s that are just as good as modern planes. And like,
Yes, some would say they
I
were
think they got to be a
built
pretty
better.
good. They got to
that's
be a
what I
pretty
keep
good, what if you
reading,
hit
but I'm
turbo-
also a
what if
sucker
you
for
hit
retro
turbulence?
things.
Mm.
Well,
It's got to be a good
have
plane.
you? I've been on a little passenger plane, not little, but it was probably like maybe a
Going like this the
20,
whole time.
25 seats if I had to guesstimate, but it was like one row on each side. I was going down to Florida. It was just a connecting flight, but we had some major turbulence, and that's probably the only time where it was like, it's fine. It's fine. This plane has been through worse than this.
I've heard
And
horror stories.
and
of
the
people
captain-
dropping like 10,000 feet.
I can't imagine.
well, the captain
Oh
came
my
on and was
God.
like, this is going to be very rough, but only for a few minutes. And it was really brief. And like, it was nice to have that, like, okay, we're going to have turbulence. And then like a few minutes before it happened, he let us know again. So there was no like
Terror.
yeah, it
There's
was
no
like,
scarier way to die, I don't think, than to be on a plane. going down.
I don't know.
well, see, if I had my own
There probably
plane,
definitely is a scary way to die.
I think
I had
There's
my own
always
plane-
a scary way to die.
Yeah.
I'm all
But
about backup
That would be
plans.
terrifying. I
It
just
would.
imagine the anxiety. I mean, like At least for most people, I feel like that's one of their worst.
But I think
fears,
if it drops
probably.
fast enough, you pass out. From the G
I don't believe
force.
it. I
The
think
G
that's
forces.
something they say just. to
But if
comfort
I have
people.
my
Oh,
own plane and
That's my
it's just
theory.
me
I don't
and
know. You never know.
5 or 6 people behind me, I'm going to have a parachute for each one of us. I'm all about backup plans. If I have my pilot's license, I'm definitely going to know how to jump out of a plane too. I value my life. I'm not reckless.
Carry a parachute everywhere you go.
That's what I'm saying. I already have a backpack all the time anyways. It wouldn't even be out of the
A
norm.
go bag.
The problem is I'd show up to work and I'd like go to take my iPad out of my bag to get my references and stuff together, and it'd be my parachute. Yeah. It's
Just pops
room
out.
full of silk.
And then you're like, shit, I have to refold this, and they have to be folded a very precise way.
I'm anal enough. I would really trust myself packing my own parachute.
That's
do
what she said.
Nice, Jordan.
Oh,
That was a good one.
that was.
The innuendo's always there.
Set me up.
Always there.
Set it up.
You walked right into
I was
it.
gonna
I did,
laugh
I
so
did.
hard if I didn't say it. I had to.
But really, I feel like I trust myself.
But I do think that there's a market for tattooing the celebrities who travel from, and the rich people in general who travel from like coast to coast, because that's just wasted time for them. And so if they can get tattooed while they're doing it,
I bet Lil Wayne would pay to have a tattoo done in the sky.
does
I
Lil
bet-
Wayne have any room left on his carcass?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Layers on layers on layers, man.
Yeah, that's true. And
But-
blacking out is the thing. Maybe he just gets some of
How
that.
do you feel about that? What is your opinion on the blackout trend?
See,
I have
in
my
it- I'm
opinion.
in it for the art, and that to me doesn't look like art. Like maybe if it's somehow skillfully woven in with other stuff, but just like a purely black arm, I almost cried. Didn't Kat Von D just do it? And she had beautiful art.
She had a lot of people that were really upset about that.
I'm sure.
I kind of like it.
Do you?
Like, I do. I just love the way it looks. I think it's just because it's such a simple, bold transformation.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's just something about that velvety,
Mhm.
almost bluish, grayish black
Mhm.
of the beautifully settled in ink. I really, really like it. Like, if I didn't already have such rad ideas for my arms that I was just patiently waiting for the opportunities, it's tempting.
Yeah.
And then
I
from my knee down, that's tempting, but like, then I'm out of space to collect,
Right.
you
I
know?
totally agree with you. I think a lot of that, when it comes to those black pieces, like when it's like a velvety black and just like a super nice black, and it has a nice transition into something as opposed to a transition into a bunch of shitty work or something, or it just
Mhm.
looks really. I do like sketchy brush strokey transitions and stuff. All that's going to be relative to my own opinion of what I think is cool, but I really like it when it's very silky black. I mean, there's so many blackout sleeves that you see. That's like it's like this type of black where you see
You got the screen share going
you
on?
can see everything underneath it.
See if you can pull up Hoodie's Instagram page so they can see like the extreme precise blackout that we're talking about. And I bring him up because he's the one who happened to do Kat Von D's
Oh,
blackout.
okay.
Same artist. I just love it. There's something
So
about it
why
that I
was
just
her so
love.
controversial? Because she had like beautiful art underneath? Or,
Yeah. And a lot of people just are of the opinion that they don't like it, but it's so
I mean,
tempting.
I have my preferences to the way that I like it, for sure.
Mhm.
Like, like if I was to do blackout stuff, I would be so stoked if someone came to me and it's like, I want to do all sorts of blackout work, like
Mhm.
solid blackout work. I wouldn't just like make them black. I would do like, there'd be lots of negative space to
Pattern
really
to
like
it.
break things up in a
Yeah.
different way. Like maybe there's these huge bands that are this big, a solid black that like come through like that, but then
Mhm.
maybe there's a break like that, and then there's another one.
Mhm.
Things
Yeah,
to just kind
that's
of
true. I like
break
that
it apart a little.
interplay with white space. I do like that.
Yeah.
I think his name is Hoodie 215, maybe. Does that sound right? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Smash it. It's right.
I know I follow some
Hootie?
heavy black work
HOO.
people. Let's see if I can find.
DIE. There he is. That's him.
Let's get to the old
It's so stinking tempting. Look at how it, I don't know. Maybe you know what it is. I think it's because you're like voluntarily making yourself look like an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're throwing
that I
a lot of
love.
things out the
That's
window.
velvety
That is
smooth,
beautiful.
and just gives so much attention.
But
to
like you were
Daniel's
just saying,
face.
there's an interesting negative
Yes.
space to it.
So there's still kind of like artistry to
Mhm.
it. And yeah, that I love.
It's so simple, yet like to execute that properly does take a really good artist because it's a lot of black.
Oh yeah.
I'm just really far away.
It almost looks like a sun tattoo. Have you ever seen those like you can buy that paper where you put something pretty like a leaf or a tree branch or something on it and then you put it out in the sun?
and then you let the sun expose it.
Yeah. That's what it looks like to me. I love that. Oh wow.
But look at how
That right
consistent
there,
that heel
that's a
is.
good heel.
Yeah.
When it feels like a
For
sunburn like
people
that.
that want reference to good, just
Yep.
like the perfect way to tattoo a heel.
Yep.
Like that. Nice and soft. Like snake skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so tempting. I actually would, if anybody's listening and they would like to do some blackout work like this, I've got some ideas
Oh, wow,
of
look
like
at that torso.
going
Oh.
from velvety
Wow.
smooth blackout and then working over that in some colors. I'd love to do like pastel
Dang.
colors over top of smooth black.
I think that's cool. And like
Look
it's
at that
awesome.
belly
I
button.
wouldn't I like a little bit more movement, but I do love I love the balls of just being like, just do a fucking straight line, just cut it in half.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a bold decision. Like making a decision like that is almost as hard as drawing a really intricate piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's almost hard to just be like, that's just what we're gonna do. It's gonna done.
Yep.
Now let's fill it in.
I love it. I know some people just are not down with I don't even know if we could call it a blackout movement, but this blackout style, I love it. And it's so tempting. My
Bold
collection
decision, but
is
there's not
so,
a lot of places
I'm-
you can go from there.
yeah, I'm so
Yeah, there
proud
really
of my
are not.
collection that I don't ever see myself doing any like cover up situations. And I know I can look at this one, the one with the swirls.
Love
Mm.
stuff
Check
like
that out.
this.
Yes, that's
See,
beautiful.
this is stuff I really like. It's like minimal like design and patterning, but so much blackout. But what is there for those negative spaces just
Mm-hmm.
brings it together.
And this in particular, I
I
think
do love
this is just one of the
I do
best
love flower work with
examples.
solid black behind it. I
Mhm.
think it looks really good with floral stuff. And honestly, the more open you can keep flowers with that black, I feel like looks really good. My opinion.
Go back up one more. This one here. This is, I think that's Crystal Oreto's arm.
This one?
Yeah, click that one because she's got pictures on her page of it too. Yep, that's who that is.
Now, how did they keep the that kind of bold line work within it?
Well, she already had a layer of blackout that somebody else had
Okay.
done. So then he came and then blacked out on top of that. She's actually a really rad tattooer. I don't know if you're familiar with her work or not.
Mm-mm.
No.
She used to have beautiful dreads.
No more.
You know, the dreadheadies always stand out to me.
Mhm.
Well, they must be back there. There's some.
Yeah, so that's before he blacked it out again. That's what it looked like.
Black. Have you ever, do you know Little Swastika?
Yes. I think Skyland is the
Yeah. He's like Lily Lou now. He's going through his transition. I love Skyland's work though. They have a very specific style. Like
Mhm.
all of them.
I've actually
We should be
seen
following
part of
them.
one of these multiple person pieces in person. It was the one that's
Just
black
blackout
and
like
green.
this is what
Oh,
I
that's
get down
badass.
with.
Yeah.
You know, solid black work, but I like design. I'm never gonna be like, let's just go all black. That'll be never something I do. Personally,
So you like this chaotic style too?
I love it. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't know if I necessarily want it on me. I would love to do it.
Mhm.
I like do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I followed these groups of projects for a while now. That's part of one of the projects I saw. I don't know if that's the
that's a
guy I saw or
fat
not.
ass mag that he's using on that.
Oh yeah. Giant. Getting it in though.
Yeah, ow. They get a lot of work done in a day. Like this is probably like a day's worth of work.
Have you heard of the Brutal Black Project?
Mm-mm.
Oh, maybe we should go check that out.
We'll get there. We will. Definitely got to check that one out.
We go from like
Hey, there's a little Peter.
nature
There's a little Peter in
daydreams.
there, man.
nature daydreams to
Little Peter, man.
chaos.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't know that was your
Look
foot.
at that like
Little producer
vortex
down
that's
there.
created there.
Yeah.
Like it looks chaotic, but you see how much planning goes into each piece when you see something like that. Like, it
That's
just
what I
looks
love
like it
about
doesn't make
organized
sense.
chaos like that.
Yeah.
It's like what makes. I love the decision, like bold decisions, like something like this right here,
Mhm.
just to make this big line right there. You almost question, like, what does it mean? Like, what is it like?
Mhm.
Like in
Mhm.
your head, because it looks like a symbol. It's kind of like this thing, but it's really just this bold decision he
You know-
made to make this aesthetic choice. To
You know,
do
I
that.
love
So
artwork
there's
that
a lot that
poses
goes
more
into-
questions than answers. And I feel
lot
like that's
goes
what
into
this
an idea
chaotic
of
stuff does.
randomness.
When we're talking like big heavy work or this chaotic black work,
Even all
it
this up
it
here.
makes you ask why. Why would you do this? What and not even in a negative way, but like why? Of all the things you could do, why this? Like when
Oh,
you
wow.
could do anything, why this?
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful symmetry.
Dun-dun-dun.
It's nice. It's just it's so eclectic and chaotic, and I love it all. Oh, we're going to the Brutal Black Project next. Brutal. If you want a brutal tattoo, there's only one way to collect it. Brutally. So they've got like a half-hour video that, like, I don't know, sometimes to be super crazy during really tough sessions for people, I'll be like, watch this. And when you're watching
Right.
somebody
You
that's
think
in
you
so
got it
much more
bad.
agony than you are, it like gives you that last little bit of oomph to get through the day.
Is this the one where they make it as painful as they possibly can?
I mean, I'm not going to say they make it as painful as they possibly can, but like they're going to be tattooing 2 and 3 and 4 people at a time and doing huge amounts of work.
Right. You really
in
can't
short
make a tattoo
sessions.
just be super painful. I mean, you can go a little bit harder, but if you just start making a tattoo painful, you're just gonna start fucking people's skin up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they
But it's
the
gonna
way they
speed-
deliver
it's gonna hurt
themselves.
more. It's probably gonna hurt a little more when you're packing that much ink at one time. That's just a lot more damage to the skin at
Yeah.
one time.
I
So
feel
it's
like
gonna
they
be
present themselves in
brutal.
such a way that it comes across as very brutal, and it is very brutal. But like getting tattooed is brutal.
brutal.
But when you look at their work as they post healing
wow.
photos and you see like healed, settled in photos of work that they've done, it's
Mhm.
always beautiful.
That's her eye.
You know what I mean?
Look at that.
Wow.
She
It
has
looks
her
like she got
she has
beat
her
up.
eyelid tattooed. So I'm gonna show next time a client is complaining, I'm just gonna show them this.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
just gonna
that's a
leave
great
it on
idea.
on the TV the rest of the time they're getting tattooed.
I think that's a great idea. Like, be glad this isn't you, homie.
Right? I just need to get her face just real big on the wall. Yeah. Oh,
Look at that nippy. Do you remember what that was like, Jordan?
I remember.
You remember?
Don't make Jordan cry.
I remember.
But that's a super good example of how well it's healing.
Yep.
Like it
Like a
looks
snake.
brutal because they're accomplishing so much. But when you look at how they must be handling the skin very well to have it settle in and heal appropriately. Like
Mhm.
it looks brutal that these people are being held down and getting tattooed, but they signed up for it.
Love this.
I'll take Fawn's approach any day of the week, and twice on Sundays.
Twice on Sundays.
Do you follow?
Who
Brad
is
Wooten?
this? Wooten? Yes.
Yeah.
I love his. I feel like I read
Oh,
his
wow.
stuff, and I always think of you and where a lot of your work is headed.
I actually, I've seen his work a lot, but I actually, over the past like half a year, learned about his work, and I definitely love it. It inspires me to definitely think outside the box, do different things.
It's I mean, the beauty in his work is the simplicity. Like he's taking,
That's
you know,
gorgeous.
geometric shapes that we work with all the time, but he's stretching them over the entire body.
Mhm.
I mean, stuff
It's like he's
this right
simplifying and
here.
achieving really, really neat things.
It's like tire tread.
Right.
So
Segmented.
after-
tire tray, look at this. Ooh, love that. Right down that arm line right there.
after we finish your arm, what
What's
other
next?
projects do you have in mind?
Hmm.
Clearly not any of this blackout stuff, probably, right?
I mean, probably not. It's just not me. I love color, and I mean, I only have one black and gray tattoo on my whole body, and it's
Mhm.
my words. So probably just more color. This arm is going to be a celebration of childhood. I think I told you that. And my daughter has since claimed she wants the top half to be a celebration of her childhood, and so she wants to like design things for the top half and
Okay.
have it be just all stuff about her childhood, and then the bottom half is going to be stuff from my childhood, and then there's going to be like a line in the middle where it kind of intersects, and it's going to be like interests we have in common.
Mhm.
And so that'll be fun just to kind of piece that together.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yep. So that's going to be your
My whole left.
patchwork sleeve.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I love Laura Anunnaki out of Mexico City. She's Japanese out of Mexico City, and her stuff is so cool. And I'd love to get her to do like back of my calves, like both backs of my calves,
Nice.
with skulls and just pretty sparkly stuff. And
Okay.
but yeah, and then I have like thighs and hips and
You don't have anything on your legs yet, right?
nothing on my legs. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got a lot of real estate
oh,
still.
Yeah, I do. I have room to go for sure.
I think when it hit me that like, oh wow, I'm gonna run out someday.
Yeah.
Is once I got my back done, because it went from like my full leg sleeve to my chest, and I've had ideas for my
Mhm.
arms. So like I kind of count those as already spoken for and done,
Mhm.
even though they're not. So then it's like, well, now that my back and cheekies are done, and like my shoulders wrap and connect to my chest, and like
Mhm.
now that my torso's done and one leg and both arms are accounted for and
Yeah.
a quarter of my other leg, like I'm limited. I'm really limited on space already.
Mhm.
Like it seemed like it wouldn't ever happen. And now it's like, oh wow, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever like,
I forced myself to slow down. I mean, I got several big pieces in a row in my early 30s, and then I like forced myself to just take a break and
Be patient.
Yeah. And I said I was not going to touch my arms until I turned 50, and I kept to that. Well, not quite. I got this little guy, but that doesn't really count. It's just a tiny little guy. But yeah, now, I mean, this arm will be done this year, and then this arm, I'll just kind of do. Is your robot here, Jordan? Oh my God.
almost, he
So
says.
exciting. Are you going to name the robot?
Oh, he'll have a name.
Yeah.
He'll have a
You're going to
name.
wait till you meet him, your
Yeah,
new baby boy,
you have to
before you give him a
see-
name.
You have to see
Yeah.
what the personality is.
My
like.
vote,
course.
if we're
course.
just going for a random name, I just want to throw Chappie out there in the ether because like
I also really like
It's pretty
Wally.
original, fun.
Have you guys have seen Wally, right?
oh absolutely.
Oh my God.
So
I
two
love
of my
Wall-E.
favorite
I do love
movies are
Wall-E.
Wally and Chappie.
I've
So,
never
like-
seen
So when I was
Chappie.
reading my robotics book over here on robot building, it says to like make it more to like promote more enthusiasm for the project and all that. It says to like name your projects, but don't give them names of other robots out
Oh,
there. is
so you
what it
got to
says.
keep it original.
I-
Okay. All
That's
right.
where I've gotten so far. Don't ask me why it
What
said
did you
it.
call him? Chap chap.
I mean, that could be one.
Chap chap.
It could be, but
Hmm.
it might be trying
It'll
too hard to be
probably-
chappy.
It'll probably be like
At that point, it just
Digi
wants to be chappy.
or Rover or I don't know, something like that.
It'll be fun.
Are you gonna give it a human name?
I haven't thought about it yet.
Malcolm,
I'm really bad with names because there's so many names that could be cool,
Nigel.
What if you called it my roommate?
but it's also such a big decision.
And he's an
thing
AI.
might
He might
last-
want to weigh
might-
in himself.
And he can be continually updated. He might last 30 years, or he might last a year, a
Hmm.
month. He's gonna get a name. It's gonna be glorious.
Yeah.
You guys don't worry about it.
Okay.
He will be one of our guests probably at some point.
Oh, that's cool.
Can they make noises back?
Yeah, I think it talks.
Really?
Or,
So
but
we're
I think it makes like little robot noises. I think they just kept it at like mostly like emoticon type things,
Mhm.
like so it can like express its emotions through like the way it's doing something, but I don't think it's like actual words.
So we're gonna have an actual robot character with us.
This thing gets smarter and it learns. So it learns through interaction, which is really cool. I'm excited to see the extent of how far that goes.
Have you seen the videos of those robots that can like jump and like knock down doors and like they're crazy?
Yeah.
Like the
yeah,
police
definitely.
robots. Or whatever.
There's some videos of the ones where it's like a robot that like is like shooting stuff and all that. And I see a lot of people sharing that one, and I know that one's a CGI fake video of the same robot that like they actually have got it to like start to walk, but they use that design, create a 3D model of it, and then they got this whole scenario where these dudes are like kicking it down, and this thing's like trying to shoot and like push it away, and then it like shoots these targets perfectly, and I'm like,
no,
robotics is not there yet. Like there's no way, and it looks super fake. You can see. But I see it shared all the time. I don't know if that's real. What it is.
I don't know either. I didn't.
Because there is some crazy shit.
It definitely could jump like high. It was pretty amazing. Yeah. But I don't know.
I think there's stuff like that. I think there's definitely stuff doing some wild like basic movements.
Yeah. I don't know. They've got these weird little rovers and stuff they use that have cameras. It's hard telling what all those little guys are capable of now.
Yeah.
Like the military rovers, not the moon rover, Mars rover. Military rovers.
Yeah, well, robots.
I love the tweets that the Mars rover sends back.
I haven't been following.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
what are some of the tweets?
I've never used Twitter, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a tweeter.
They're just like, and who knows if it's probably not coming from the actual thing, right? It's probably a person in NASA, whoever it is. They're doing a great job. I don't know. They just they send things like, you know, that are like
cute little updates,
cute little updates and puns.
I know they love to give them personality. Like the people that run, like people in NASA that are running those projects are their entire life's work culminated. And like if something happened to it, they would literally cry and be devastated, like somebody died because they spent the past 30 years of their lives working on this one project, which is just crazy. Can you imagine? Or like if it just like that's the big thing when it lands, like when they're so stoked about it landing that it's like, oh shit, it was our life's work. Where's that? No, blew up.
I know. He's so devastating.
Like that.
But yeah, it's just like little puns and, you know, about the view. And
one of these days I'm going to have to like set up a Twitter just so I can like exist.
Fawn, you know, they put a drone on the last one, right? So now we have a drone on Mars.
Nice.
A flying craft.
Yeah.
That attaches.
And that's Perseverance, isn't it? Or one of them's Perseverance, and I forget.
I don't remember the names of the new ones, but I know Curiosity was the one we've had up there, and that's the one been sending a lot of shots. Yeah. And then there's the new one that just hit.
Yeah.
I don't know what that.
I think right. Perseverance is the flying one, but I'm not sure.
I think I don't know if they've even like lit it off yet or not, because I remember they said they have it tethered and they're doing like test flies for a while until they like untether it, and then they're going to send it around where they know it's safe to do it.
Okay.
That blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, we sent drones to Mars.
I know.
They're going to be able to fly drones around Mars.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Now that's some exploration if you're not bound to the ground, but that also means that the air is like thick enough to have a flying craft.
So let me ask you this. If we are somebody hypothetically is controlling this drone from Earth, it's got to be incredibly hard to control in real time. There's got to be at least a few second delay, right? Between the signal traveling as far as it has to and traveling back. There's got to be a few second delay, right? Don't you imagine?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there most definitely is. I think there's a huge delay. And I think because of that delay, I think a lot of things are automated with them. So they're able to make their own decisions of like what to do next based on something. I don't know if this is going to be
so it wouldn't really be like somebody would like, so most of it would be automated GPS, whatever. And then this is like for maybe just the more intricate activities, it'd be somebody sitting there with a little joystick and like controller.
Maybe.
So and they send back sounds too. That's the other crazy thing. Like
it probably has remote control and is automated at the same time. But I'm pretty sure they're not, I don't think they're moving like the rover up there themselves. I'm pretty sure that has its own automated process of what
So
it does.
they're programming it to do things
Because I
based off
know
of
even
photos and
with the
things.
last one of the problems was even the pictures were taking like, so they could only send very small pictures. That's why we don't have 4K resolution photos. We didn't, now we do. Like the new one that went up
Mhm.
there is taking like movie quality photos of everything in video.
Nice.
And maybe because of that, they've changed some way of sending those photos back, because before, yeah, there was a huge delay. They could only send like just like minimal resolution photos.
So I was thinking about this the other day, and we've talked about cameras a few times today. And I was just kind of like, driving around and thinking about technology and how it's changed. And, it's amazing what we can do with a teeny tiny mirror and a teeny tiny lens. You know what I mean?
Light.
A
Light's pretty
mirror
fucking
and
crazy.
lens, what we can capture, the amount of data that we can capture with just the tiny, and I'm talking about the inner workings of every single camera. It's a teeny tiny little lens, and then
Isn't that crazy that you can
mirror
condense everything that's happening around us into like light holds that memory to reflect it onto something,
Mhm.
and then that can be reflected. Like just like at the shop. So in our garage in the shop, we have in the warehouse, there's these huge garage doors, and one of them just has this tiny little, probably like a 2-inch square. And when there's
It's like
really
a
dark,
little peephole.
right. So the sun reflects in it, and at a certain time of day, when the sun reflects in it, makes a projection of what's
Mhm.
outside
And it's a
on the
perfect mirror
ground inside.
outside.
Wow, that's
There's a
cool.
name for that effect, and I can't remember what it is, but it's pretty neat when you get to see it in real life, and it's really cool that you notice that it happens.
So I remember doing experiments or like hearing about experiments with like newspapers and cardboard or
Mhm.
something when I was young, but I don't remember necessarily how those worked, what happened with that. But I know it's like the basics of like camera function and things
Mhm.
like that.
Yep, the
But then
light
seeing that
passes through such a small
projected
opening
so
that
big
it
and so
flip-flops on
perfectly,
itself.
there was such a randomness to everything going on in the light, and then I look and I'm like, wait, that randomness, that
That's
looks like a
trees.
building outside.
That's
Those
a
are
tree.
trees. Oh my God, these
That's a
clouds are
cloud.
moving. And so like the biggest projection came from the clouds. And so you just see all the clouds moving
Huh.
across the ground in the warehouse.
That's wild.
Oh, it's so cool.
I gotta
I love
remember
it.
what
That
that
shit's
effect
magic.
is called. If
That's
anybody's
magic.
paying attention, and throw it
Reality
in
and
the comments.
light's
I can't
wild.
remember what that's
So many
called. I gotta
technology is
look
going
it
to be, so much technology is going to be based on light in the future.
up. Mhm.
Ways to manipulate light. They just
I
found
mean,
out that
light
it's
is
proven
energy.
that we can
The
move
more we can
faster than light.
manipulate energy, the more we can control things and play with things. It's all energy. It's exciting.
It's cool stuff.
Mhm. It's
Cool
exciting.
stuff. I like being an artist because then I can play with it.
So what else is going on in the world of aliens? Have you been on it this week? You've been busy.
Oh man, I've been super busy drawing and tattooing.
You've been tattooing? What have you been working on this week? Last time I was in with you, we were working on that geometric piece that had the chrysanthemum. I think it's maybe it was a peony.
I haven't
Do you have-
posted.
do you have pictures of that?
I haven't posted anything.
Not
of
posted
that,
yet?
and that one's not finished yet. So I don't know if I really. It's not in a place I'd like to show to the tattoo world just yet. I love the tattoo and I love where it's going.
Sometimes I have to post things when they look kind of like train wrecks.
I
just
honestly,
so,
I
like,
would show
you
it if it was
understand what-
easy for me to bring up right now. I'd probably show it, but it's not really. Because that's actually a really cool project that we're doing, and I'm really stoked with how we've done everything.
What if you just drop one of the photos to our tattoo collecting Instagram real quick, and then are any of them good enough? Putting the pressure on.
Just
How many
the
sittings in
pressure
are
to
you?
do
Just
a few
one?
things at one time.
This is the second piece you've worked on that guy, right?
Let's see.
I just remember this was, I think, was one of the first pieces that Jordan finished after he came to Red Tree, and it was cool to see him come back and having more added to it. Were you guys planning on adding to it and turning it into a whole sleeve, or did he just hit you up after the fact to add on?
Wait, ask that again. Sorry, I'm
Did you
very
guys-
track minded.
Did you guys plan for that piece to be a whole sleeve, or did he just come back after collecting the
We
first
never
piece from
planned.
him?
We
Cool.
never planned. We
Cool.
just wanted
So
to do
he
one
just
singular
hit-
piece, and so
he
then we
just hit
just
you up,
added it.
wanted more?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
He seemed super chill. He came out to the garage with us.
Yeah, he's like
The
Going
gay
up.
garage.
Guatemala and all that, and like doing all this mushroom training and shit.
Nice.
It's cool stuff.
Oh, buddy, get comfortable.
Oh, we still got all this black work up on the screen. Look at that one that looks like a robot.
That lady on the right.
Yeah,
That's
it's just
amazing.
a mock-up, right? Or is that an actual
I don't
tattoo?
know. And maybe it's not a lady.
I can't tell. Maybe the background's just edited. Screen share that one that we're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That one that the cursor's on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Look at that thing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I think this is just a mock-up. Let's see my contribution.
We're gonna pass on the half unfinished work.
Okay.
Now. Too much work to bring up.
Okay. Well,
Taking too long.
was a good opportunity. A good try. A good try.
But yesterday we started a really cool piece that I was really happy with as well. That I don't have any pictures of that one either, but that was a big geometric shoulder piece that we did. I tried some new things
Nice.
with that one. We did these so there's a lot of hexagon work. I did everything over an isometric grid, so everything in it still aligns with isometrically. So there's a lot of different design going on.
Let's go back. Jordan got himself a new tool.
What? Oh yeah, I started using an iPad.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, so Jordan is halfway to robot legs.
Right.
So the thing is he was like, oh, I'm just going to go to a Wacom. I don't even need an iPad. And now that he has taken the leap to an iPad, he's like, man, this interface is so much I can do everything I need to do.
Okay. Well, you brought it out of me. I'm gonna let the world know. I've used Wacom for 5 years. It's 7 years now.
I'm not
solidly.
knocking Wacom. I'm
No,
just the
I'm not knocking it
portability.
either. I love it. But I think as a tattoo artist, to be honest, I think I like the iPad. I like the iPad more, unless you want to do 3D, unless you're super into 3D work. And I don't know, you really need the processing and the RAM that a PC is going to give you. I don't know. I just really like it. I really like it. The interface is better. The surface is better. You can get the paper-like screens that make it really nice. And the pencil is just way more intuitive. Way
Nice.
more intuitive. I mean, the pen for this Wacom is just as powerful, and it can do just as much. It's got tilt sensitivity and all that, but the pencil, it just feels more like a pencil. Mine still feels like a digital pen when I'm holding it. It's just got this. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm holding a fat marker while I'm working, and not sketching with a pencil.
Well,
And it's not even a fat marker, so it just doesn't feel intuitive to turn on its side and work. I can take the pencil tool and then just turn the pencil sideways, and it's giving me if I was to actually be shading in with the side of my pencil really lightly.
welcome to the iPad
Oh,
community,
man.
Jordan. Welcome.
I was dogging an iPad for so long. I was like, nah, I got my Wacom. I got
They've
both of them.
really come a long way. I mean,
I had my companion and I got the 30-inch. I'm gonna keep the 30-inch, but I'm gonna sell the.
what do you
I'm gonna sell
work
the.
off of? I
I'm
knew
gonna sell
you
the
right.
17-inch I have.
Do you have a laptop, or do you work
I-
off of a tablet or an iPad?
I have dual screens in my office. One is a desktop with a regular keyboard, and then one is a laptop, so that I can go mobile if I want to.
So you've got a space station too.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. It's pretty fun. It's not as cool as Jordan's. Actually, I will say my husband's is pretty awesome
Well, no
too.
worries. We're downgrading the station here.
I think if you just flip flop the two, I don't think you really need
I
to
don't- I
downgrade
just don't know.
necessarily.
I don't know if I want all the monitors anymore.
I always joke that my husband's office is like
I
a
feel like-
war room because he's got a whole wall of monitors. It's crazy. And he
I
has
do
light
love.
effects
I do
too.
love having it, but there's a part of me that feels like it's a lot of my eyes.
Yeah, probably is.
It's especially if I'm not using them, but I'm too lazy to turn them off. And once
Right.
I have them turned off, it I don't know, fucks my view up because now things just don't look as cool in
Right.
front of me.
Right.
It's two off screens and an on screen.
You just need to hang some art up there instead.
I got some cool ideas.
Yeah.
Got some cool ideas. We're gonna be changing it up.
Nice.
here.
I have a question for you guys. What's your favorite part to tattoo? What's your favorite, place to place a piece of art?
What body part?
Yeah, where on?
Oh man.
Well,
I
I
feel
definitely
like
I like a few different body parts.
I'm super partial, hip to knee.
Hmm.
I like that area because it's just one of the bigger panels.
That's
The back
probably
is
one of the ones that I would
nice,
say.
but the back is really exhausting. I
Mhm.
accidentally scheduled 2 back appointments back to back last week. and
literally
I
back
was
to back.
So exhausted. Just because you've got to work so hard to stretch that big area of
Yeah.
skin,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a big person or a small person. But on the hip to knee, like that upper thigh, that whole upper outer thigh area, it's nice and big and pretty. You can really show off a lot. You can make things giant. I mean, that area alone is as big as the sleeve
Have you seen that
is.
big Reaper piece that I started on that area
Yes.
with the scroll work and stuff?
Yep.
Oh, I was so stoked on
It's
that one.
just-
'Cause
there
there's
is-
just so much space there. Like
There's
it
so
is.
much space that you can do so much in that area. And then the other thing is it's not a really painful piece of
Right.
real estate. So like your client can sit there and comfortably, like as comfortably as you can be getting tattooed. They're just like camped out on their side all day while you're just standing or sitting.
I think
know?
that's one of the most comfortable places for me to tattoo because of the way you can just like lay out, have the leg right there. It's literally just like a canvas to work on. Back is like that too. Back can be really easy because it's just like splayed in front of you, and I enjoyed that. But then there's places where I think it's like the coolest. I would definitely say like that, like butt cheek to knee area is an area where I think is the coolest, just because there's just so much movement happening there. Like you can, if you're willing with, especially my work, you're willing to work with that butt cheek and all that. You just get that whole Fibonacci spiral. Doesn't have to be a spiral, but I mean, you just have that natural flow there. That I can do a lot with it.
My other
But
favorite.
I love the look of throat tattoos, and I do like doing them, but they're difficult. They're more of a challenge. It takes more to make that happen, than if I was to do that same piece somewhere else. And so that makes it difficult, but I just love the result so much. And I think it's just such like an out there piece that it makes it so worth it. So I really, really enjoy that. And I want to do more throats.
My other favorite piece to tattoo on the body is like anywhere that bends or moves heavily. So like where your little wave is and it's driving
you
you
can
crazy.
play with
It's
movement.
because I got super carried away and just pushed it really far to completion and like, but it's because it's one of my favorites because like I just want it to move and be interesting as it moves. One of my things where when I hear this, it in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, cool, your artist failed then. As when somebody's like, it only looks cool when I do this. It looks right if I hold it like this. It's like, your artist didn't place that with your body, with like the flow of your movement very well then, huh?
Yeah,
like if it only looks good one position when your body's in another position 98%
that's
of
what
the time.
that's what I avoid when it comes to tattooing. Everyone likes what they like. Some people like their badge and symbol tattoos, but I really, every tattoo that I do, I just want to make work with the body so much. I want it so that exactly that when you are in different positions, it looks even better when you're all twisted up, as as opposed to like that T just turned into a J, because you did that, and everything. It's like doesn't. That's why I stay away from words and stuff like that. Personally, love awesome script work from people that are busting that out like as like really good script work.
But that's one of the tricks.
I just don't care. I don't care for like little
right.
quote stuff very much because it's never going to work with your body. It might be something you want and it's memorable, and I understand that. But I really think people should be always questioning like, how is this going to work with my body?
Yep.
And like ask your artist, because they're probably going to be stoked to be like, oh, cool. I do want to make this cooler, but I thought, it came to me with this basic text, and hopefully your artist always just, jumps to like, let's make this really awesome. But just always remember, I want this tattoo to work with my body.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something you should always throw in your
I
consultation.
can't remember if we talked about this last time I was on, but I'm obsessed with them. And at some point, I don't know when, but at some point I want to find a way to get one. But they have these like what they're calling fat roll tattoos. It was invented by a woman tattooer. Get her name.
Is it where they're like getting
their
this little
flowers?
crease?
They're flowers that are coming out of your crease.
Questions about that.
And it's like wherever your crease is, it might get bigger or smaller, but you're always going to have a crease where you have a crease. You know what I mean? And so I just think they're so pretty. They're just flowers growing out of like what someone might think of as like a bad thing about their body, but it instantly becomes a beautiful thing. Kind of cool.
I think that's one of the amazing things about tattoos, period, is like if there's something you're self-conscious about, you don't even have to get that body part tattooed. Get a tattoo somewhere else.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh
or get that body
100%.
part tattooed. It just makes you
It's
almost like
love your body more.
Yeah, it's like, whatever your body image issue is, when you make the decision to become tattooed, it gives you power. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden somebody's gonna, like, for instance, if you have a scar on one arm and you get like a whole sleeve, people are going to see that sleeve before they see the scar. You know, whether you get it on the same arm or not, like people are going to notice that artwork first because what stands out more, what's worth talking about more. So it's really cool how, like, you know, it doesn't, it gives you power, but it also gives you like something to be proud of. You know, you achieved this, you sat through this, you have this thing that nobody else has. I don't know. I think there's a lot of power. There's a lot of power in that. And I don't know. I just feel like for instance, with the exception of being nude to get tattooed, I'm usually pretty modest. Like I usually have clothes on the majority of the time, like fully clothed. I'm not a nudist by any means. However, just as easily, like say there's a tattoo competition or say somebody asks to see my collection in the right way that it doesn't creep me out. Like I'll strip down pretty far to show off my work, but it's because they're not, I don't feel like I'm being gawked at or like preyed upon. I feel like somebody's looking at art who appreciates it the same way that I do. And I want to share that with people who appreciate it. So, you know, sometimes I even say I'm swallowing my modesty, but at the same time, like,
I feel like once
you're
not even like swallowing at the level that you're tattooed at, like you have to swallow your it's like swallowing your modesty because like
it's like I'm wearing a shirt.
It's your responsibility to show it off.
Oh, it's my responsibility to show it off.
That's my point.
Jordan says it's my responsibility. Should I be offended?
No.
Let's take a vote.
Beautiful art, and it should be shared with the world. Yeah.
Should I be offended?
Should I be? I'm not sure if I should.
Cancelers. Let's take a poll.
PC babies.
Is that sexual harassment saying that I should be naked most of the time?
No, but I was really happy when you shared that full back piece shot on Instagram recently because I was like, oh, like I had seen glimpses of it, I think, but I hadn't seen the full. Oh my god, it's magnificent.
PC babies.
Yeah, the PC babies.
It's just like
we got on South Park again the other day.
Yeah, I got HBO Max and I was because it's only on HBO Max now. It's the only place I could find it. So I got that just to watch South Park. I've been going through it.
Yep. No, I realized that like I try not to make our tattoo collecting page too much about me or Jordan personally, but like I feel like it should be about us a little bit, like because like we've been through it.
Yeah,
we've been in the trenches on these back pieces, people. We've been in the trenches. Jordan, what was it like in your second deployment?
Trenches are deep, Vaughn.
The second deployment to the hyperspace.
No, it wasn't that bad. It was an amazing experience, but
is that okay to call like tattoo sessions deployments?
There's a part of me that can just pass it. It can just be like, you know, I can just ignore the fact that it was all very painful and all that. And just say, yeah, I got through it. You know, it was tough, but it was really tough. It's definitely really, really tough to get through.
Yeah.
But
I
get
find
through.
You do forget the pain of it pretty quickly after.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, you know, there were parts of this that were pretty ouchy, but like, and when I got home, I remember, well, actually the next morning, I remember my family saying it hurt, and I was like, yes. But like now, like I don't remember it hurting. I remember what a great experience it was. You know what I mean?
They say that's part of the human defense mechanism.
Yeah.
They say if it wasn't for the way that our brain almost immediately forgets the pain sensation, no woman would ever give birth twice.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely think it's just psychological defense mechanism to kind of like, you know, instinctually block it out and throw it into the subconscious super quick. But then you go right back. Usually it's like that'll happen. I think that's what gets me through my second day session. It's like even that it's just like if it's
like second day
hurt just as bad, you know,
I've
thought,
never
if I
done
can
that.
remember just the thought of it, I don't know.
That would be pretty hardcore. I've not done that yet. Like an actual 2 days of.
The second day just doesn't hurt as bad. You know, to me, like usually, you know, my back, maybe it's the way that guy works, but I'm not super like sore. You know, I'm sore, but I'm not like I can't do this. I'm like, okay. You know,
I was really scared the first time I signed up for a 2-day session. And then when I realized like, oh man, like I'm already exhausted. The bite is zapped out of me. I'm not ticklish. I'm just like laying here like a piece of meat. I always feel like the second day I'm so much more exhausted, but my artist working on me can get so much more accomplished that second day just because my body's not fighting it anymore. Like it's almost like it's easier to just surrender and take the punishment the second day. Because like, all right, I'm 50%. I already sat through 1 day. So you already know you're on the downhill the second day, even though you're exhausted going in. It's like, okay, this is the downhill. Like yesterday was my way in, today is my way out. I just feel like it sounds awful, but the second day is always so valuable. And then the good thing is like we were just saying, you kind of forget the pain. So you only have one heal. You only have 1 week of being uncomfortable, and instead of 2.
Do you have that in your job form?
What?
Your questionnaire. If people like right off the bat, like, would you like if this session, if it's going to take more than 1 session to schedule consecutive days? I threw that in my job form just to have the question out there. I put a little maybe by it too, just so I need to bring it up with people.
I don't know. I feel like if somebody were traveling in, I'd probably give the option. But it would probably be an option that we would have at our consultation, like depending on the project. I feel like I really put my clients through it. Like I cover large amounts of work. And one of the things that I'm always mindful and conscious of is swelling. And I feel like a lot of times when you have an area that swells a lot, that's where you're going to get the tiny micro cracks. And I worry about elbows and wrists for things like that, just because like joints tend to retain water more. So for me, I almost think that if I were to do 2 days back to back on anything but the torso or maybe a leg, I feel like 2 days back to back on a sleeve might really be a brutal heal. Sorry, I blinded you. For me, unless somebody's coming in from out of state, or they're in a situation where they've got like a few months before they're deployed, like really deployed, not deployed to another tattoo session, but like a real deployment where they're going to be out of the country, or
I tend to find it's almost always people that are traveling that usually want the 2-day sessions.
Yep, you get the most out of it. So it just tends
to be that way. But
I can't
personally, I love it. I love it if someone wants to do it. 3-day sessions are exhausting for both of us. We're probably not going to talk a lot the 3rd day. We're not because I don't like you, just because we probably exhausted everything we had to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like I'd probably be the opposite. If I had somebody that was willing to sit for 3 days in a row, by the 3rd day, we'd both show up in our pajamas and I'd have like crumbs on me from breakfast.
I don't know. I feel like you have all that, but then it tends to also be like, it is that but there's the other side of it. It's like
by the 3rd day, I have like
sick of seeing each other, like in some way, where it's like I've been causing them pain the entire time. They like probably really do want to be here, but also don't because they're just sick of the pain.
Right.
And there's no chance of it not being pretty sore. On the 3rd day, that you're definitely pulling your shit together. You're putting your shit together, putting it in a bag.
Yeah.
And really coming at this shit.
I don't know. There is like the inside jokes and the personal stories that you get into too. So by that 3rd day, like if I had anybody that was willing to do 3 days in a row, it'd have to be like a torso or a leg. I don't think I'd do it on an arm, but I don't know. By that 3rd day, we might be homies. We might be like lifelong besties.
Well, I feel that, but even if I'm hanging out with a lifelong bestie by the 3rd day, I'm probably not talking as much. We probably exhausted a lot of the things we've had to talk about, and now we just chilling.
You know what? It might be a bit much if like that person were staying at my house and we were like attached to each other all the time. But if we were going from like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and I've got like recharge hours by myself and like time to just like sit and chill with my dog and like stare into the space.
I feel like I got social batteries. I'm dead at some point.
I'm definitely like plugging
I love
in
you, man. This
recharge
is awesome,
time.
But I'm in tattoo mode now. But there's always those people that open up more. Definitely talking from experience. So there's quite a few people where it just tended to be that way. They're just like 3rd day is awesome, but neither of us are feeling as good as we were feeling the other 2 days. And so in some way we're both kind of exhausted because we're probably doing long hours because we're doing 3 days. So we want to really push in as much work as possible.
The robot's here, guys. Did you hear that? Did you hear the knock at the door?
I'm so excited.
The robot's here.
Yes, I can't wait.
Oh, and Jordan comes back in. We're going to have the unboxing. Sorry if I screamed in the microphone. I got so excited.
This is a thrilling moment. Our child.
This is all Jordan's been talking about all day for like a few days now. He won this on a bidding on it on eBay
Oh my
because the
gosh.
prices have just skyrocketed on these things. Jordan and I were looking at them a few months ago and they were like $250 some. And I was like, I kind of want to order one just to have it roll around my tattoo room. And then I didn't. Now that he's talking about them like this, it's, man, I kind of wish I would have. But at the same time, I probably spent $1,000 that week on glass.
Yeah.
So what have we got?
Oh,
Is it the robot?
It is the robot.
baby Jordan.
Here we go. Let me get the camera.
Little
Let's make
baby Jordan. Maybe that's what we call him.
I think baby Jay. I think that's it.
Let's see what he looks like.
pop this thing up here, Jordan.
Well, we have a few layers to get through.
I feel honored to be here when the baby robot arrives.
So you can already all expect that.
Yeah.
Probably going to need a charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. This is the birth of a new character of the show. Lauren even chimed in when you went to answer the door.
She totally did. She was like,
She's excited.
she's excited too.
Okay, show the camera. Show them what we're working with.
This is a little Cosmo bot.
Oh, I love him already.
Surprisingly, kind of hard to get a hold of for a decent price.
Oh, he's sleeping.
This little guy.
Oh, those are his
Blocks.
toys.
Wonder-
He seems like he's kind of crouched over. Is he going to stand up, or is that just how tall he is?
That's how tall he is, but he's got a little face.
Oh,
Just a boy and his robot.
Just a little boy. Well, he's got his little station. He parks himself in this little charging station here.
what a good boy.
He's going to be a good boy.
He just like backs up on there.
Are we going to customize this guy? Is he going to be modded out? Or are you going to ask him if he wants to be modded out?
So
Am I still on?
we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on.
It sounds different. I don't know what happened.
So we'll put him in his little charging bay, and we'll see if by the end of the podcast we can't get him to do a thing.
All right. I'm
I
excited.
feel like that was probably pretty anticlimactic because he's so tiny.
We got more.
It's kind of awesome how tiny he is.
But this little dude. So right now they retail at like $200 right now, but
Same,
they're
same.
going online for like $800 because they stopped selling them
Oh wow.
because of COVID, and now they're making the new ones, and the new one's going to be out soon. But they stopped selling these. This is actually the collector's edition. There's like $800 everywhere, but I found someone that just like had it as a kid's toy on eBay, and bought it from them for like almost $300.
I'm excited for
Best
us.
$300 spend ever.
Honestly, I hopefully, but not concerned if not. The real thing is that it's going to help teach me robotics because you can do STEM and
God.
coding and all that with
The
this little
tagline
guy.
is big brain, bigger personality. That makes me really want to know him.
Right. Say hello to Cosmo, a gifted little guy who's got a mind of his own and a few tricks up his
It
sleeve.
sounds like Jordan.
That is me. I got a few tricks up my sleeve. Select few get to see them.
Guys, should we cue the music?
we got to
Where's
get
your
on that
Orbud?
music, man.
Fawn, where's your
Do
Orbud?
what? Oh, it's at the shop. It's one of my fidgets. It's a studio for
He
clients
looks
to
so
play with.
cute in his little
He's
fucking thing.
adorable.
Like that's just wait till he can like look at you. Turned on.
Oh man, I just put the camera back.
I see code.
I love the color. He's so pretty. Welcome to the world, little
We're
guy.
such nerds, you guys.
Welcome to
Listeners,
your new
watchers,
home.
we're sorry. We are absurd.
We'll be cooing at a robot for the rest of this podcast.
We started talking about it earlier. Like childlike living.
I don't think it's gonna
play.
work with
Yeah,
you.
the importance of play.
I literally, I love living like I always wanted to as a child. I think those are my first goals as an adult, is to do all the things I wanted to do as a kid.
Yeah.
Once I did that, I can establish a baseline for adult life.
Right. That makes sense.
And now that I have a job where I can afford these things and I can do all these things, I figure, why not?
I feel like it's one of my life goals to live as a 5-year-old. What was life like? Let's say, let's take a walk. Take a walk with me, if you will. We are in a time before you started kindergarten. We were in a time where you didn't know anything about other people's opinions.
And the world hadn't smashed you into a box yet.
Yep, we're in a time that your imagination ruled your life. How amazing would it be to be an adult functioning in a world and living that like imagination and freedom ruling your life? That's my goal. That's my goal,
Yeah.
is to just be kind and be creative and
think
have
it's-
those
I-
be the motivation or motivating energies.
Right. That would be nice if we could hold on to that. I think there's like the problem with reality, sets in. It's not like innately the world packs you into the box. It's that like that's what association does. That's what when things happen and you create a memory towards things, it's just what memory does in
Mhm.
general. So if you have memory, then you innately, whatever your past experiences are going to dictate what your life is and what you think it to be. So you can get rid of that. Can't really hard to be a new person not based on all that stuff. But
I just feel like-
but I feel like that childlike thing is the lack of memory is really what does that. Is a lack of so much association with things that you think are bad and stuff, which does because there's like, I think beyond all these memories and stuff, there's infinite creativity and there's infinite amounts of like love and spirit and things to grab a hold of, and it is all these other things that kind of squash that. But I feel like so many of those things are, I don't know, I just don't think we could ever live without memory, and I think it's so tied to that. So it's trying your best to create the proper associations in life and figuring out where your associations lie and what's keeping you from that creativity and that
So
childlike
the magic
thing.
though is learning how to live with like childlike curiosity and innocence, but the wisdom of age. When you combine that, what
Infinite
kind of an
wisdom comes with
existence
that.
would that be?
Yeah.
I feel like that's how Alex Gray and Allison Gray must live their life. Like they're just daydreaming all day long, but they've got wisdom to accompany it.
Right, and they've structured a life that supports it in all ways,
Hashtag
and that's
goals.
where it just becomes like wholesome for them.
Makes it just like pure creativity. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you're a child, you draw something because you're interested in it. You draw something because you love it. You draw something because like you want to know how it works. You ask a question because you're curious. You know what I mean? It's like pure motivations. When you're a child, like your intentions are always just like curiosity or
And
I
learning.
simply like this, or where I feel like that just gets corrupted as you get older because of the outer influences, like you were saying. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like a person is the truest version of themselves from like age 2.5 to like 5. Like after that, they start becoming like mirrors of their parents and mirrors of their surroundings, or maybe the opposite of their surroundings.
Right, probably the closest you're going to come to your, quote unquote, like spirit, your essence of who you are, deeper than like who you think you are and who you've become.
Like when you're
All
that
your
little, you're not worried
memory
about who you
association.
should be yet.
Right.
You're just worried about like, oh, I want to go play in this field of wildflowers. I want to go roll down this grass hill on just, there's just all these things that like children do just because they want to do. They just want to have that experience. I want to get on that merry-go-round and spin around till I puke. Why? Just cause.
Right.
As an adult, it's like, nah, if I get on that thing, I'm gonna puke.
Wisdom. Wisdom from experience sometimes. Well, wisdom, is what it is. Knowledge through experience.
That'd be the ticket.
Yeah.
Yep.
Living
I don't
like
know
you're
how
5.
Oh yeah, we got on that because of the little children's toy.
Living like
the
you're
expensive
5.
children's toy we brought into my home.
Yep. I like it. I can't wait to
awesome.
play with it.
Oh, me too. I just want to set them up right now.
It's okay. We'll be patient.
Sorry,
We'll do
okay.
more. He's gonna be a regular appearing character.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he's even got a little screen. He fits in perfect. He's like camouflaged.
I just love the body posture. He's almost like kind of like a little frog.
Right. He's got this thing right here is a scooper, so it's a lift. So it lifts these up. He'll take these and he'll lift them and he'll stack them and stuff, and he'll do like little things, and you can play games and
Like
stuff with them.
fetch. You can play fetch with them with
Right.
these
So
things.
like take it, put it over here,
my-
he'll like
like
go
hot.
over and get it.
hmm
That's very cool.
Don't worry, little guy.
Hey, Lauren, are you still listening? Are you active? Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so I feel like we were kind of having a discussion amongst ourselves before we went live earlier. Do you think we should maybe address that a little bit?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we've got the time, right?
Hey, Jordan, I'm going to show you a Facebook page that I want you to pull up while we're talking about this. So right now there's within the tattoo community, there's some pretty important things going on that everybody needs to be made aware of, I believe, just so we can start kind of uniting as a force throughout the world. Like this isn't even like a in the United States thing. This is like
Global.
a worldwide thing. Let me see if I can find the page. Is it Save the Ink?
Coming for all y'all inks.
No, and blues and greens.
Save the
God, I have
pigments.
so
This
many.
Save the
is the
pigments,
page.
yeah.
Say
Can you-
goodbye to blue
Can you
No.
pull this
yellow,
page up?
and red.
No,
You can't even use those colors.
Don't be silly. We got to have like serious talks about this. Pull that page up so that we can show anybody watching what we're talking about. So right now there is a petition going on. Everybody kind of really needs to start doing their homework on this.
Here we
let's
go.
see. Lauren, can you kind of explain? I feel like you can explain a little bit more gracefully than I can exactly what's going on, because I don't want to confuse people. I want to
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
put a
and-
little bit of helpful information out there.
Yep. So I'm not the most educated person in the world, but sometimes you only really need to be one step ahead. So what's happening in Europe has been going on for a very, click that picture right there in the middle with the, okay. So none of us probably can read this right now, but what's happening is they're identifying phthalo blue and phthalo green, which is in, if you go to the next slide, if you click the arrow, this is what our palette looks like with those pigments. This is what your palette looks like without those pigments.
Mm.
Okay, so, and not only that, some companies use that phthalo blue, like in some of their blacks. So what they're saying, and it's very inconclusive, is that, well, not all the things they're saying, but one of the things is that they're unable to determine whether or not it's carcinogenic, you know, how it's going to break down, how it's going to enter your bloodstream, what's going to happen when laser removes those types of pigments, you know. But the type of evidence that's been provided is really confusing. Everyone's like, well, you know, is this dangerous? Is this not? But when you really look into it, the studies are really inconclusive. So in 2008, this kind of all came about. And now, right now in the ban, it's done. You can't even get any new blues or greens even looked at by these, the CTL operating, you know, agency in Europe to approve and the inks, you can't even get those pigments looked at. So as of 2023, that next picture you see will be the palette available. And that's why people are freaking out, because Europe is huge, you know, there's colored tattoos everywhere in Europe. So what's happening here doesn't really impact us in the US, does it? But really it does, because what happens if the FDA adopts those policies, which is possible. They absolutely could. So our goal, Fawn had a fantastic idea. We had a little business conference the other couple days. She said that, well, what if we do our own research and we actually organize and compile our own results? Because there's no better case study than a human body. And each artist has probably tattooed, you know, 1,000 people, some people, thousands of people. And if we could, it'd be pretty amazing to kind of create our own industry created case studies professionally, because it's better to go, we're not only trying to ease the discomfort of ourselves, but for our clients. So if nothing else, we can, we'd like to kind of compile evidence and compile our own thoughts, because a lot of us have just heard about these issues and we feel kind of rushed in, because our primary concern is the health and safety of everybody. We don't want to be putting something in our clients' bodies that is unsafe. But I mean, how do we know that? I mean, Have you guys ever experienced anything? I mean, maybe like an allergy to a red pigment, or maybe, you know, an allergic reaction, but in terms of carcinogenic,
I feel like
it's hard.
I've never had a reaction to
I feel
any
like I
color
haven't
Neither have I.
particularly, except for, you know, the way it might have healed. Besides, like the way a color might have healed,
Mhm.
you know, in terms of like how, you know, transparent or how like solidly it's there. Like that's one thing, but I've never had any sort of like something healing any different because of the color that I'm using. And I think some people might
I don't think
have
I've
their
had
own
a
opinion on
single
that, but
color related issue.
some people have talked about, I've
since-
heard like myths of red, you
Like
know, being weird
2010
sometimes
maybe.
back in the day, but like I've used red 1.5 million times. It's always been great.
Mhm.
And it became a thing where I was like, don't listen to people who say
Well,
that.
I feel like you and I, Jordan, came into the tattoo game just as the manufacturers were really starting to get away from the more what's the word I'm looking for? Like allergy causing
Cat
pigments.
attacking my foot.
I feel like by the time you and I started doing color tattoos, that the chemistry was getting a lot better and there were just fewer allergic reactions across the board. So
A lot of that goes into play with more than the powders, you know, used, like particle size and things like that entering
Mhm.
into your bloodstream. But what studies do we all have to really be confident in that? And that's where our big questions lie.
yeah, I think
That's really scary.
I
It's
just want to
very
make
scary.
everybody aware of this, because there is, if you follow this page, there is a petition that is going around. I don't know enough about it. I haven't read the actual petition yet.
You can click the
but,
link at the top of this page.
I started by
Um,
following it too.
Okay.
No, that's sorry, I'm not saying that to you.
so we can start by following
Yeah, I
it.
was saying that to
If you
myself.
copy and paste that, Europe link, it takes a few minutes, and actually
The Save the Pigments down here.
yeah, I've heard from people that they're only really looking at
Yep.
signatures from Europe. I actually did this a while back, but I don't even know if my signature will count.
Hmm.
You know, so it just, I guess, like whatever happens in Europe, I feel so out of control. Like I don't even speak German, you know, none of us probably do, but like what can we do in the US to protect ourselves, to make sure we're protecting everybody? We have the information that we can like feel confident about, you know?
Be ready for the battle.
Exactly. It's not, yeah, like we heard in the business conference, it's not something that might happen. It's something that's here right now and we need to, you know, address. A lot of it falls on the pigment manufacturers. Yeah, it falls on the manufacturers to try to do their part. This hasn't ever really happened before. And, you know, a lot of things are kind of proprietary when you're talking about what it is. But I think like now complete transparency would be great, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What in such a shitty way revolutionizing thing that it would be in a
Yeah.
bad way.
Mm-hmm. True story.
It would just totally change the whole like paradigm of the ink companies right now. Like, what would you do? Like that, it doesn't make sense, because what are you gonna do with that palette? Are all tattoos now just gonna be like warm tones?
Black and gray. Laura, before I'm just curious, what is your perspective? Like just hearing it for the first time, does that make you like, imagine you don't really know a lot of tattoos, imagine, would that information scare you, or do you feel like you can see right through it and maybe consider it political versus you know,
I
versus
mean,
a health hazard?
I think it sounds really it doesn't sound like that it's evidence-based, you know, like I'm a big believer in science and I want evidence, and I'm not seeing any, you know, science or data behind it yet.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, this is the US. The FDA is super controlling. Like if there was any connection between tattooing and cancer, I mean, we would have heard about it. Like I find it hard to believe that, you know, Europe is that far ahead in tattooing that they're seeing something that we're not seeing yet here. I mean,
Right.
I've heard
America's
that.
pretty into
I
their
don't-
tattoos.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. I was just gonna say that I don't know. I don't doubt that there could be, you know, some sort of, you know, something to be found out, but I don't think it's going to end up being carcinogenic and like an issue, you know, some sort of issue, you know, like they found out that like pigment can accumulate, when it's broken, it breaks down, can accumulate in your lymph nodes a little bit. But there's also like no research saying at all that causes any effect at all,
Right.
more than just discoloring, your lymph nodes.
Right.
That basically, everything just kind of runs through it.
Yep.
You'd expect that.
I mean, if your lymph nodes are encapsulating the ink, that is proving that your lymphatic system is actually functioning perfect. If it's storing it there and it's not polluting the body, that's evidence that you're healthy and your immune system is functioning great. You know what I mean? Like the fact that these particles are not floating around the bloodstream and not reacting with anything because they're encapsulated, that's fact that our immune systems are working. And
I think the real science just needs to be done. So I mean, like, I think the tests need to happen. I think all of that. So that's
what kind of test?
I feel like that's
what kind of test? How are you gonna test this?
Because I feel like it's gonna be inevitable that it's gonna make its way here if it's happening there.
Oh yeah.
And there's like an issue. It's gonna happen here, and then like it might even happen with like fucking, I don't know. You don't know how it might pop up. It might just be like some people might just start riding the hype train on it that aren't tattooers and that are like, I started hearing this, and then
So let's talk about this.
It's dangerous.
It grows.
Let me bring this up. So, okay, it's just 2 solid pigments that are currently banned. So let's say we just replace those with similar pigments. Those are already next on the chopping block. So it's not going to stop here. Like, are they eventually going to say that any pigment insertion into the skin is carcinogenic without any data to back it up?
Yeah, so that there has to be data. And yeah, if the data shows that it's killing people, of course that's an issue. Something has to happen. New pigments need to be found. But at the same time, that's not what's happening.
I mean,
that's not what's going to happen.
These pigments have been tested by you guys and everyone else for a really long time.
You're so right. In essence, like, we have the testing.
We are the bunnies.
We've been doing
the test pigments.
Exactly.
I got a solid 10 years of testing and seeing how that works on people. We got people in our shop that double, triple that.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 thoughts. One is everything is carcinogenic to a point, right? The air we breathe, the water we drink. I mean,
it's not what we consume; it's how much of those things that we consume.
All relative.
I've tattooed over 1,000 people probably with the pigments that are on the chopping block.
Right.
At least colors. I don't know about the brands that are out there, but you're saying pigments in general, so that's all the brands that are using that. It's all of it.
And it's the raw material to make the pigment that is banned.
It's not a hard thing to avoid if you're not going to get tattooed by accident. Like, why,
good point.
You're making a conscious choice. You're taking on, a risk.
I think it's going to go go underground if that was the case.
I mean, in reality,
I think people would still be using those pigments unless, they were like, you're using blue in a tattoo. You can't use blue into any tattoo. You know what I mean?
Right,
like the health department sees your pictures and starts looking through your portfolio to see if you're using those colors.
They have to be underground at that point, because people, no matter what, their desire. That's
me not just going underground with it. If I they said I couldn't use half the colors that I use in a tattoo, like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna find a way to use those fucking colors.
Well, then that gets scary because we're talking about like bootleg homemade ink, where not everybody has like the meticulous chemistry knowledge or
we know what happens
to build it in.
Prohibition does not work. Like, we've seen it in our own history. No, regulation, but mindful. Like, when you're talking about, like I said, parts per million of these, whatever it is. Like, okay, Laura, imagine this. Fawn and I spoke about this. They're saying like an average tattoo would be like pretty much like, I don't know, maybe just really big and completely saturated. So that type of parameter is completely unrealistic because it just people with those types of pieces, just it's a smaller portion of what actually happens too. So just more mindful, presenting the information, because you wouldn't say like, you can't drink alcohol, because if you drink a gallon of alcohol instead of like what's normal, like a few shots or whatever, it's a completely different result when you look at it that way.
The other thing I think about with regard to tattoos and cancer is I feel like tattoo has saved my life because I used to be a sun worshiper and I used to not be careful about sunscreen. And since becoming a tattoo collector, I'm like,
so you're saying when you were on your yacht?
Yeah. I mean, my parents probably put a little something on me, but I was getting pretty sunburned.
We're circling back around to first world problems, first world struggles.
But yeah, like I was sunburned constantly as a kid.
It's offensive to people.
Did you hear it? I wonder if this would make how you'd feel about this. And I'm just
I didn't grow up
repeating.
with a struggle, but you talking about struggles offends me.
What's that?
I'm just
anyway,
repeating
so
what
yeah,
I
so
heard.
think about
Yeah, listen to this. So
Protection.
there's this, there's a study that was done, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Laura. A study that was done,
No, that's fine.
and they're saying like, yes, there wasn't a correlation between cancer and tattooings. But what they're saying is that the correlation was that the tattoo protects your skin from the sun in that area. And so the correlation was that
and people with tattoos are more likely to protect their skin too. So yeah, double protection.
Well, in the study that she's speaking of, they were, did you say they were using rats?
rats.
So
In
the
Europe
rats,
too.
the rats that were tattooed were less likely to have cancer.
because the pigment of the tattoo kind of blocks some of the rays or whatever.
Potentially, but maybe just having the skin heal itself then gives it,
Makes it
any
tougher.
scar is going to be tougher. So if you've got a scar on the microscopic level, it's going to be tougher. Now let's throw in a microscopic barrier of like minerals to help those sun rays penetrating further than that most superficial layer of skin. So does the pharmaceutical industry have something to gain here?
Yeah.
I've got so much
industries that are probably not tattoo community based have things to gain, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
Here's a big question. If there's a problem coming, who's not the person, but how do we solve this? How do we come up with this? I mean, we can demand these tests be done, but I'm sure they take a lot of time and obviously lobbyists and all this stuff that's involved. Like, what route do you take?
We find out where these questions came from and who the people are that brought the questions up in the first place. And we
I
put a
think
hit on them.
the first step is to preemptively start gathering data. If they come after the community and we're already like, oh no, we've got these organized files of who's done how much work and how few reactions we have to report that can be conclusively like determined to be like these pigments are responsible for, then like if we already have data from, even if it's just a few hundred artists, that's a start. That's information. That's a compilation in our favor, and to prove by these unofficial case studies that it's not dangerous. And then from there, that might lead to real case studies where we could volunteer to have blood work done to show that we're healthy and we don't have toxins floating around in our blood from our tattoos.
You have all the, I don't know how the health departments do it in other states, but in Ohio it's different than Michigan, because I don't know if it's just Red Tree either, but we are recording all of our inks, we're recording all of our lot numbers of our needles, all of our everything's from all of our
in Ohio
needles.
You've always had to keep a log of all of your inks and needles,
and that's good. That's a great thing. In Michigan, we didn't have to do that, and so now being here, but that also gives every single person here that's tattooing a full record of everyone who's gotten tattooed by whatever pigments that they're getting tattooed,
every bottle of ink
and
I've
the
bought
lot numbers of those tattoos if they're following all the directions. But I mean, still, a lot of people are probably out there following those directions, right? Especially all of us tattooers at the shop. And so, I mean, automatically, the records are there, the numbers are there.
Yeah.
So it's just
have any of you guys ever had a
database?
Yeah. Have you guys anybody ever had a biopsy done, like a skin biopsy?
I have not, and that's always a big question, though. I feel like
because I think that might contribute not only the blood work, but like that may be one of the ways that they would.
I'd sign up for it. I mean, have you seen how little the biopsy punches are that they use?
No, that's what I'm asking.
And then like I'd even be like, here, do it in the Bermuda blue spot. Like pull it right out of there, the bluest of the blue. Down here, I got some cobalt.
I mean, seriously, that's a good idea.
Punch. And then if I had a little pock that needed touched up by one of my artist buddies or like somebody at the shop, like I know most of the colors that were used in most of my work, like, oh no, that's a green concentrate and a little bit of purple. That's not really black. But like that's something, I mean, it's important enough to me that I would volunteer for that, but I don't know how many people would volunteer for something that invasive. But at the same time, we've already sat and mutilated ourselves for hours and hours.
I was gonna say,
well, we got to create, I think the more we can create a mention about it and make it at the forefront of every single tattooer's mind and make a lot of clients aware as well. And so you got clients who are like, wait, I can't get all the colors that are my favorite fucking colors. Are you kidding? Okay, that makes me upset and angry. And now we do that. We get that on a massive scale. Got to get people angry.
Well, what if they're scared?
I just gotta get them scared.
I guess I just don't understand. Like people can still smoke cigarettes, and we know cigarettes are
Well,
full
the
of
logical
carcinogens,
thing
right?
to me seems like what
Yeah,
will
no, I mean,
happen
of course,
if
that's all
they ban
stupid.
if
I
they
mean,
ban these
alcohol's legal.
Right.
We can
pigments,
smoke weed.
Right.
if they ban
We can't
if,
smoke
if,
weed.
if we can't get our hands on these pigments, if they're banned and they can't be used for these purposes, then
You're
we're
going to
just
get them
gonna have
anyways,
to-
probably.
yeah, it's just gonna people will think outside the box. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's when it gets really scary and really inconsistent. And we're right now, like with most ink manufacturers that I would consider quality are very transparent. Like they want you to know what's in their stuff. Like they're not going to tell you how much of what, but they're going to let you know what's there. You know, they're going to let you know roundabout how their stuff is made. Like when our industry standard is already to be pretty transparent, it's going to be bad when everybody starts hiding things and like we're getting illegal packages of powder pigment shipped from some country that may or may not be the chemical compounds that we need. It may or may not oxidize or not oxidize the way that it's supposed to. Like when we start talking like microchemistry like that, and then we start introducing biology to it, there are so many variables. And I don't trust every Tom, Dick, and Harry that thinks they know how to mix colors. Like I know color theory, but I would need so much more chemistry knowledge before I took on the challenge of mixing, not even ink just for myself, but for other people. But
Yeah.
I know because people are hustlers, people want to make money. This will only make the tattoo, it will be a step backwards because the tattoo industry will have to go underground and dodging the medical system instead of working with it and working with like safe, compliant formulas.
I have, no, it's hard. It's like, I'd like to say I have enough trust in the system to adapt in a way that will show that, like that the fucking truth of it's going to come out and that you can use these pigments and that's fine, because it's just absurd that you don't have those colors anymore. Something has to happen. Tattooing can't be tattooing without all those colors. Everyone's just going to do black and gray work. It's just not going to be like that. Art advances. Art doesn't go backwards. And something's got to give. Even if they come up for a minute, something's going to come back, but it can't happen in the first place. And so
Do you think
gotta
that
get the people angry.
do you think that if we compile this evidence and it does nothing, legally, let's just say it does nothing legally, that still is great for all of us who are concerned about it, right?
Yeah, it just adds to all of our levels of knowledge as well. If we
I
can
think
learn about these pigments and you can tell your client about how, whatever. If
It
artists
showcases
knew,
unity
if
too.
artists knew more about pigments, that would change a lot about it. I don't
Yeah,
know. Just
I
learning
agree.
about pigments and paint and learning about paint in general taught me a lot about painting. If I knew more about the pigments that are actually being used in the colors of my tattoo
And the
pigments
color theory is
and
only
the
like
way that I
20%.
mix colors, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this element is what's making this, more blue. So if I add that with this, then I'm going to get a better reaction than if I was to add that with like that kind of green versus that kind of green, because there's two different things that are making one of these greens, maybe.
What do
Oh,
you
you
think,
guys are
Drew?
making me
So I
so
like
sad.
that.
I think about all my blues and greens.
Well, I just want everybody to be
I'm not
aware.
sad because I don't think it's
I
gonna
want
happen,
everybody to, that's what we've been saying for
but you
since
can't treat
2008,
it like
Jordan.
that. You cannot treat it like it's not going to happen.
Right.
though.
We have to
Like that's the problem, is you can't like, all right, it's not going to happen, because that's what
I-
everyone's going to
I
do
was
if you,
hip to
you
this.
treat it like that.
The
and
U.S.
then no
could
one's gonna
very
care.
easily adopt these policies
I
very
was hip to this
quickly and
about a
easily.
year and a half ago, and to find out that these discussions have been going on since 2008, it's crazy to me. Because when I found out about it, it was like, oh, well, somebody will take care of that. Somebody will stop this from being banned. And it's like a few days ago, it was like, oh, what? Nobody stopped it from being banned. So it's almost like it's, you know how all the time, like when I'm complaining about how uncomfortable tattoo furniture is and like, how bulky some equipment is, it's like, well, you can only complain about it for so long before you do something to change it. Well, I thought somebody would have done something to change this, and I feel like I've been doing a lot of like talking about and complaining about it. So it's like, if nobody else is going to, well, let's start getting organized. Let's start getting it together. Like I really thought somebody else was going to take care of this already, but it has slipped through the cracks. Like shame on our whole community that this has slipped through the cracks.
What? The tattoo furniture is uncomfortable?
No, that these pigments are
the
being
pigment
banned.
stuff, yeah.
Shame on
I
our
know,
whole
doesn't it-
community that
it's-
it
it's
made
a-
it this far.
It's a bit scary though, because we're talking about like major corporations. Like even if 10% of the industry came together in the last 12 years. It just such a massive, the cosmetic industry or whatever, the European Parliament, like it's just a massive undertaking. I feel like we would have just had, if everybody showed up, everybody put aside those feelings, of like whatever it is, I don't like you because of this, or I had an argument with you over this, but if it would have taken everybody, and there's just no chance I could have seen that happen. And it's just like sad, you think like, okay, couldn't you guys put down your swords for like a little bit and put your minds together? Because I mean, it's not like we feel they didn't work hard. Some of people worked really hard, but what they forgot was that it takes an army to go against something this massive.
Right. Yeah.
And coordination, right?
Coordination,
I mean,
organization,
Yeah.
respect.
Nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody has any fucking clues
Right.
what's happening. I haven't thought about it one time until I heard about it last year at one of the conventions. I heard about it, and then I really haven't, because it just dropped off with everyone's conversation. It's not something I'm not usually worried about what's going on with the pigment companies, because I buy my pigment and then I work,
Yeah.
I'm so busy. But it needs to be the conversation. It needs to come up a lot more, and it needs to be at the forefront of what's going on. And it should be like one of the, when we look at a bottle of pigment, we should need to be looking at it now like, I hope I can still use that bottle of pigment 2-3 years from now. And as a collector, the same exact thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm using this green in my tattoo right now. Well, I better get this tattoo finished,
Well, here's
because
the
I might
thing,
not even be
Jordan.
able to get it.
A lot
I
of
think that-
blacks have these blue and green pigments in them. So what
Well,
if you're all of a
yes.
sudden limited on your black selection now even? Like, it's not even just color artists
You'll have
that
to
are
throw
going to
the
be
whole
limited. It's
industry
going to
away.
be the whole,
That's not going to happen.
that's a scary thing. If the whole industry has to go underground, or, we're an industry of survivors. I mean,
We're also Americans.
We're
I
making
feel like
progress, so we can't be pessimistic, but we have to be so conscious of it.
as
And,
Americans,
like,
though,
active,
we
not
can
just conscious, active.
yeah, we can change things. We have a different legal system,
yeah.
I feel like it sucks that we can't really directly do anything except for spreading knowledge, spreading the word, and supporting the
Well, that's
tattooers
just
in
step
Europe.
one. That's just step
And
one.
yeah,
Well, we
But,
can find, if it starts going to any large corporation, and you start seeing, going to like, I don't know, I've heard the words L'Oreal and shit like that spewed out there. But like, if it starts going to bigger corporations like that, we protest the fuck out of those corporations. They're going to go through hell. They are literally going to get canceled.
Well,
like
here's
you've
the thing that
never
we could
seen
do.
canceled before.
If these
We're
big,
going to destroy them.
if
I
these
don't
big
know. They got a
corporations
lot
are
of
trying
money.
to,
I mean, we
to-
got a lot of people though, and we got a
Mhm.
lot of people who would be so angry.
I know,
Like
but
if
it's
these
still
things
like
actually happen.
L'Oreal versus like even there's 30,000 tattoo shops in the US, and then think about all the women in the US or all the men and all the makeup. It'd be that'd be a tough thing to coordinate. Like, I mean,
But
I
they're
would
also
love to.
selling it to the tattoo industry, and if the tattoo industry protests,
Oh, you mean I know what you mean. Like, I thought you meant protesting their cosmetic products.
oh
and
no, I
stuff.
don't. No, I don't. Not so much care about their products and everything, but if they were to have their hand in something and we started getting the hint
Yeah.
of like that's where it's going, doing those things, but that still goes a step farther in saying that those pigments got banned and then they take over
Mhm.
on that. We need to not get them banned in the first place.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if you're, well, basically I mentioned that like what it would be nice is for us to get to know, everybody get to know their local representatives, state representatives, and then, who's what representing them in Washington, because those are the people who actually will make a difference in the US. Because there's a bill in House and a bill in Senate, and I could be wrong, but I know that on January 3rd, one of them died. I think it died in the House. And if you take a look at that, bill, you'll kind of see, well, what were they probably going to do, and that all that information is out there too. So that has to get voted on by
I
somebody.
think the more we can shed a light on those things, but I mean, every state's going to be different. Everyone's
Well,
gonna be different.
every
it's up to-
local
it's up to
official-
us.
Imagine how easy it is to have a conversation with your local rep versus like a major event happening in Washington. Like, those conversations should be had so that they can feel confident. They can look at it themselves and on like they care about you because you're the one who probably voted them.
It'd be
into the
really cool
position.
if we could organize, if we could get like at least like a couple straight up tattoo representatives
Mhm.
like in every state And those people that are representing our like tattoo industry that want to in that state can be the people that raise these concerns to those people. So we have someone in every state, and then those people are active doing that, and then they can kind of spread through that. But we at least make a solid ground with
You
at least
just
one person
defined
from every state.
tattoo lobbyists. We need tattoo lobbyists.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's it. We
The
need
industry
we
I think
need
that's
we need
I think that's like
advocates
the easiest
and-
way for like us to systematically go about, you know.
Okay, Jordan, who pays for these lobbyists?
The industry has to pull
Well,
funds.
well, I
Guys,
also
it can be
think-
done
I-
with,
well, I
it's-
also
it can be
think it
done
could be,
without
like,
lobbyists.
volunteer, you know, you don't got to make money. It doesn't have to be about money. It can just be about someone like you and me representing the community here in Ohio. You and
Mhm.
me go to the representative or something,
Mhm.
or you, whoever. It doesn't matter who does it, but you have someone that does it.
You
I don't,
can't tell me there
you
aren't
don't-
lobbyists who are into tattoos.
you don't have to
I'm
give-
sure
Oh, yeah.
there are. So we
give me-
find the
There's
you don't
there's
have to
actually a
give me
lobbyist that works
$100 to
with
go
the
and do that.
Ohio Health Board regularly.
Yeah.
That is like the tattoo
So
guy.
that's
right.
awesome.
So
but
that is a
at
thing,
at the
but-
very least, we can at least have people like us in every state that are at least making the mention and at least pushing influence in some way.
Mhm.
Not like we are the people in government, like we are somebody who's going to those local representatives.
There's
to
definitely going to
actually
be a lot more
make
discussions on
make the
this.
conversation.
We're just kind of opening up the discussion today. And I really think it's important that anybody listens to this show or anybody that's on the Reinventing platform, like be aware, because like there's going to be a call to action, and we're going to need the whole tattoo community, not just tattooers, but we're going to need collectors too. You know, the collectors are going to be what give us the numbers in the billions. You know what I mean?
Right.
If we talk tattooers, okay, there's 4 or 5 in every community that this affects in the small towns. But if we talk about tattoo clients, there's going to be 4,000 or 5,000 per tattooer in every
Mhm.
little town. So that's what gives us the power in numbers. That's what gives us a voice. It's not, I mean, yes, it's the tattooers, but it's the tattooers spreading this knowledge to their clients. It's our collectors that are really going to give us power in this. And if we make our collectors that are like the higher echelon in politics and in the medical fields, if they're aware of what's going on, then they can help us start getting quality information. If people that like have the degrees and have the experience and have the connections start hearing this problem, then they might just feel compelled enough to like, oh, well, if I hear
Right.
this, I'm going to say something about
Right,
it.
'cause
But we
whoever
gotta,
those people are, they have to know what the tattoo industry is now. They
Yeah,
can't
I'm
be
not-
going off a guess of like seeing tattooed people out there and going, oh yeah, that's a concern. That's a really concerning thing. It's like, no, look at our lives. Look at who we are. Look at, we're a good person coming at you. Like, this is what the industry is. These are what tattoos are now. This is what you're taking away.
Mhm.
And they can see it in a realistic view, and they're not going to see it for the art, I don't think, as much as they're going to see it for the concern and the concern that people are going to raise because of it. And it's like, look at every side of this, you know, and especially look at the lives that you're probably going to ruin because of it.
Mhm. Right now I have no real solutions to like talk about like on air, but like just awareness. Just be aware,
Yeah.
because there's going to be a call to action coming very soon, like to save tattooing and the fine art and the beauty of tattooing as we know
Right?
it. Like,
Tattoo community, be ready.
And
Yeah.
you guys know what we're gonna do
Mobilize.
after that? I'm just gonna
What?
drop it because I kind of used the vape industry as a reference this week. After we do all this, let's plan a march down Washington. Let's
I'd be down. Get everybody together. I'll take a roadie. I got a van.
Yep, we'd need at least 10,000 people.
10,000 tattoo person march.
You
All right.
know-
who's
well, you know
starting
what,
the
Who's
the
starting this
Facebook group?
convention?
I had the vision, guys. I had the vision last
I
year.
love
Let's
it.
do it.
It'll be a colorful crowd.
I feel like the ball, we're just starting to kind of shimmy the ball a little
Pick the
bit through the
numbers.
gravel pit, but it'll start rolling soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we threw it out there, I feel like if we threw it out there, like, hey, everybody who misses this convention, that convention, or the other convention, meet your homies here and help us fight for a good cause. Like, save tattoos. Like, could you imagine everybody just showing up in Washington, like, save the tattoos, and half the politicians and senators will be like, what are they even talking about? Like,
They have
they're
no
hot,
idea this
but we're
is-
not even sure what's going on. Like, I don't know. How do you get this on the average Joe's radar when most people don't even pay attention to
Coordinated
And see,
things?
that's, I think,
coordination.
and that's the place where I feel like, you know, it could get swept not swept under the rug, but if there aren't people raising concern, it can happen quietly and easy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Without, but and not in the tattoo industry, but to everybody else that don't know the tattoo industry, they don't see all these things and how important all those things are.
Mhm.
You know, when you don't have tattoos on your mind, you just don't care. You know, that's not something you're even going to have a second thought about. So
Want to know
you got
something
3/4
interesting
of
too?
people out there that feel that way.
What's that?
I was reading that the science of tattooing, and not only the pigments, but they're also like bringing into question the amount of metal that's shed into your skin through these needles.
I feel like that is where, as a tattooer, you have to have discerning, I don't know, care when selecting the needles that you work with. Not all needles are created equally.
But yeah, there's just questions about safety everywhere. I wish we had like a like you said, board or maybe committee that would that was their focus, the safety of the products used.
Man, you know what? The more we keep brainstorming, Lauren, we're gonna have to get together off air again. I mean, I feel like the more we talk, the more ideas I get.
I mean, I feel like this is a pretty valid thing to be bringing up a lot in our podcast too. just
I
so we
mean,
can
this
keep
affects
keep this
collectors
circulating.
just
Yeah.
as much.
'Cause I
And
honestly haven't
collectors,
thought
like I
about it.
said, are
haven't
gonna make
thought
a
about it much
difference.
until you brought it up today, and it's such a big looming thing that it's like, fuck,
Mhm.
it's serious. It's very serious.
It is.
And I don't have many people taking it very seriously in my life right now besides, you know, you guys. Of course, Derb, definitely. It's, you know, he brings it up, Tony brings it up every once in a while, and it's mostly when we're at conventions talking to a bunch of other people.
Yeah, and
Just
I
so
want
people
to,
get thrown around.
if I hear information, I want to know that I can trust that information. Like if, you know, James was to say something, or like, you know, someone who's actually worked with this or like whatever, I want to make sure whoever it is that they're a trustworthy person,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Just because like it's hard, it would be hard for me to say, yes, these pigments are safe because you guys know that I work with them. So I might be biased, you know, a little bit, but even like Derb or someone that uses them and all, he doesn't have any bias. People do trust him.
You know, and Derb's a good example. He's covered in tattoos, but he's had incredibly extensive laser removal too. So if that's their thing, like, oh, this is unsafe to put into the body because when you take it out, it's dangerous. Well, then leave it there. You
But
know what I
also,
mean?
what percentage of people actually have tattoos removed? I mean, it's got to be a small percentage.
Right. So you got a percentage of tattooed people, not the biggest.
So
out
it's
of
like
all. It's becoming very, you know, a
but
large
the
portion
minority
people, but
of.
then you got the minority, yeah, more so.
How impactful though is the laser industry though, if they're like making a, you know, kind of making a stance that affects people. Some people say cosmetics, some people say laser, some people.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an issue with what kind of pigments are getting broken down, I guess it could raise an issue in the laser industry, but at the same time, I don't know, still break down the other pigments.
Wasn't that a super interesting remark when they said, oh, like cigarettes, but we didn't make a move to ban, like whatever it was, we didn't ban, but we didn't make a move for cigarettes until we already knew it was really bad.
I don't know. I feel
That
like it's
point kind of.
And cigarettes still aren't banned. They just have warning labels.
right. I feel like, and ultimately,
so put warning labels on inks. That's fine.
I mean, there could be a warning label on the ink, and then there could also be an extra line on all of our
If you just
consent
throw at your
forms
own
that
risk on
say
everything, it should be good forever.
that say like I consent for these chemicals possibly known to cause cancer in the state of California and the UK.
Right.
I consent for those to be inserted into my person.
Half
Like
of the things
if you check that box
in California, it's going to give me cancer.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Oreos.
Yeah.
Jason told me that the other day and I had to laugh.
But something I'm really excited for is with all this is I think it is going to bring the real research in. I think it's valuable to do all the research. There's major inconveniences and there's major things brought up with it. And let's say it does find out it's not going to do good for the ink industry and all that. But that's not the way it's going to turn out. And my full trust goes into it not being that way. But I think the research should be done. And I think a lot of things they're valid questions, but they're not reasons to shut it down. You know?
right. At most, I could see a label. At most.
Because tattooing is definitely, you know, at a higher point than it's ever been right now, ever. So, you know, no one's seen things happen over and we're now seeing things that have happened over an entire lifetime with people that are getting older and have had tattoos since they were really young. But you also, those pigments are different than probably a lot of the pigments that are around right now. Things have changed. So it's hard to get those how those long-term effects are going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Because
they're
research that starts now is,
Do you know who?
Right.
Do you know who is covered in tattoos?
Enigma.
Who is? Well, yes, he is. I was gonna say, but who is a incredibly healthy wizard? Marty Holcomb.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
come on, he's
Thought
covered.
knew you
He's
were gonna go
covered.
there.
He's got all the colors.
Like, Marty, you
I
got
just-
any metal poisoning? I don't see any metal in you.
I don't know. I feel like we were talking about superpowers, man. I feel like tattoos give us superpowers, even if
Yep.
it is only in our heads,
Yeah.
even if it's psychosomatic. Like, I feel invincible now because I've
fuck
gone
yeah.
through
I
this,
tell
that,
myself
and the
the
other.
entire
Like,
time, this is giving me superpowers. I'm getting
Exactly.
tattooed by Guy Aitchison. I'm gonna have superpowers by the time it's
Hell
done.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna have them fully until it's done. So get
Right.
it done.
I just felt like I was going to absorb more color knowledge from Russ. Like, okay, it hurts, but I'll take it. Oh,
Yeah.
give me all the knowledge.
I honestly, if I found out that tattoo pigment gave me cancer, I'd still get tattooed.
Yeah.
Be like, hold on a second. What
Yeah.
kind of cancer?
Depends on what kind of cancer.
What kind of cancer are we
Hopefully
talking?
later in my life.
Again, though,
Hopefully not
everything gives
soon.
us cancer,
But the
even
thing is,
red meat, I mean,
It could never be quickly. It would have to
Right.
take a long fucking time
right.
because look at how many people are tattooed.
exactly. And look how
Is there-
many cool
Millions,
old people there are with
Millions of
tattoos.
people
Yeah.
that have had tattoos for fucking.
Is
a
there
long time.
anything better than testing people who've had tattoos forever? Is like there any other way that could be better than that? Because that's what it's
No
used
kidding,
for.
right?
I mean, I feel like that's
Biopsies.
one way to go,
You
and
just need
the
a
other way to
biopsy
go
to see
is
like what happens and what happens to that tissue over
Or-
time,
Or
maybe under
even
a
body
microscope.
scans, like body scans. Wouldn't that show up something? Or
Oh man, I wonder what
See,
I
the
would
thing
look
is,
like under an
I feel like the
MRI. I bet you
research-
could see all of my tattoos. That would
I
be
don't
crazy.
think it could get that much better because the research would have to be done to people that were getting tattooed by, and the evidence would be of them having some shit that came up because of their tattoo. So what you would test is if any of your clients got cancer and like someone ended up getting cancer, someone ended up getting some bad disease, testing to see if that had anything to do with it. But I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like
I wonder if they have
there really
results
can't
and stuff
really
like
be
that
because
still
it has
on
to
file.
be over time. So what better than to get tattooed and have people over time, especially
Mhm.
like Marty, who's seen his clients. They're like some of his clients that come in, I can tell that like they knew each other 20, 30 years ago. And he'll tell me that like he was tattooing them 20 years ago.
They'll tell stories of growing up on the west side of
Been like-
Columbus. It's like, oh man, Marty, all the history. It's crazy.
But there will always be the void space. I mean, we just don't 100% know because the science isn't there, but we just got to figure out a way to make it science. You got to figure out a way to do the scientific method with it and just have
Well,
that written down and in stone.
Like I keep saying, the first step
But how do you do
is
that?
gathering numbers from artists. How many
Mhm.
years you've been working, how many tattoos you've done, how many adverse reactions you can conclusively say are related to either of these two chemicals. And
Then you have to keep track of the person's life for any of it to be valid, though. So you also have to have them report in on something.
but like in reality, somebody I worked on 10 years ago and I still work on today, like
Right.
my buddy Daryl, for
But like if you
instance,
check, like from now
if he
on,
was
though,
unhealthy, I would know.
like
I see him every month for 12 years.
like those tattoo ambassadors that let's say we have, like maybe we have a few people in every state. We do have this like Facebook group of these people or something, some way to organize these people. They can be like having their select clients and stuff that they know that they are, keeping tabs of like,
Mhm.
maybe, with this select client, maybe you do a little extra work for them, or maybe they're just cool. And it's like, hey, can you check in with me every like 6 months or every once in a while to see how your tattoo's doing?
Mhm.
I don't know what else is legal in terms of like medical stuff or what would be needed with someone who's actually doing that, but maybe there's some sort of like thing where you're able to like check in on a certain set of variables that you ask them.
I do want to say one thing really quick is
Mhm.
like that's all fantastic and we absolutely need to be doing that, but that wouldn't really win the battle in terms of how to keep them from being banned. So we have to do a combination of both things. One, we need to know the information, but that, like I said, we have to then fight for the freedom to keep that,
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I feel like you could do a whole podcast on this topic.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny times that like I said, I thought like by the time this comes to fruition, somebody will have done something.
Mhm.
Somebody will have done something.
Mhm.
Like, this isn't going to affect me. Somebody will have done something, and it just got banned a few days ago. Like, it
Nice.
happened. It like, and you know, if it's banned in Europe, then they're at least looking at it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You know, and you look at like the bigger scheme of things, why these chemicals must have gotten banned. There's no evidence to prove that they're not safe, other than like,
I think
oh,
the
if you want to
battle-
work
the
with these
battle's going to
chemicals,
make
you
its
need
way
a
here.
special license. And in order to obtain this special license, you need to pay this much money and be monitored by this.
Mhm.
So it could be that kind of a power thing too. Like, there are a lot of unpredictable directions that this could go.
Mhm.
That's the scary thing about it.
At least we all want to do something. I think a lot of people, as soon as they hear it, they want to, fight for the cause. So now would be a good time to unite
It's just a
everyone.
matter of raising awareness and mobilizing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
So
gonna
we're
be
probably
ma-
going to touch
I'm
on
gonna be
this
real
at
mad
least
if I
a
can't
little
use
bit
green.
every episode from now on, even if it's only a few minutes, to remind you guys to like just stay aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
because like, it's not just tattoo artists being divas wanting our way. Like, this is
It's a collector issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can see your discomfort and
Oh, yeah.
irritation.
I'm like
Sorry.
fired up.
And Laura walked in while we were talking about this off the air, so you got a little bit
Yeah.
of like a heads up that like something heavy was coming.
Yeah.
But it's a really,
I'm gonna do some thinking about it, because I work in public relations, and so we, that's what I do, is help people get kind of mobilized around
Mhm.
issues, and so I would love to lend my skills.
well,
Yeah.
hey man,
Spread the word that they're trying to ban pigments.
Yeah.
End the pigment ban.
it might end
and
up
the
being girl
pigment
power
ban.
that
Yeah.
saves this ship.
That's right.
That's what I was saying. Like, it would be nice to have a female mediator sometimes,
Mhm.
because a lot of the representation is male, which is fine,
Laura,
Oh.
how much time do you have on your hands?
I mean, I have a little time. I have my own business now, so I have a little time to.
Are you the next grand ambassador of this entire movement?
I mean,
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
up for it.
That's a
I
lot of
literally-
Well,
pressure.
she really is like a journalist and
Yeah.
a writer.
Yeah.
So
No, I definitely, and I'll blog about it for sure too.
yeah,
Yeah.
On that
May-
note,
maybe-
though, I
maybe-
do have a hard stop. I got to bolt out of here.
I actually have an
It's all right. We're-
appointment
we're
like
on-
right now.
We're at
So
3 hours, so
my girl's gonna be waiting for me, and I'm about to
you
pee my
schedule
pants.
appointments on podcasts?
Well, I meant to schedule her on a Wednesday, but I put it on I don't know.
Schedule it on your free day.
You know how late it is when I leave the shop and I schedule my follow-up
I'm
appointments. It'll be
totally
like
kidding.
4 a.m, and I'll be like, all right, I'll see you on the 7th Thursday of a Jupiter.
This is my free day to draw as soon as you're gone.
Nice.
So I'm right back into work.
No, you're gonna play with your robots.
He's
Oh,
gonna
that-
play with his robot.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He's gonna
And
teach
that's
his
not
robot.
euphemism.
Help me
He's gonna
draw.
teach his robot to draw.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna walk into. The robot he'll have the Apple Pencil fastened to his little scoop and be like,
Just like going back and forth.
oh
like,
yeah,
making-
it'll be making things. He'll turn the Wacom tablet on its
So
side so
cute.
it has that whole panel. Jordan's like, oh wow,
You're right.
yeah, it's your new plotter. You could be like, plot this vector for me, and it'll and you'll have the perfect honeycomb flag waving in the wind. Jordan's like,
Hold on.
what?
Thankful, buddy.
Before we let go, I want to just send out a little reminder to everybody about Saturday night. We've got the Equinox party.
Equinox.
I'm so excited. The visuals by Android Jones and music by Aja Lu. Aja's posted up a few
chiming
really
in?
cool videos.
I
On
gotta
his
work, but I'm gonna
Instagram.
Chime in.
Sorry, we were talking over you. I was excited.
Yeah, that's Saturday night, 8 p.m. You can get your free ticket online at reinventingthetattoo.com/equinox.
That's gonna be fun. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so dope.
Yep.
I don't know. I was thinking about bringing my projector to the shop.
I think that's a
Put it
great
on the wall.
idea. I've got a major obligation early in the day, but I'll probably
at
be
like
down
8.
for some unwinding that night. So
I can hopefully I get my tattoo done by 8. I can't promise. If I can't, I'm just probably just going to throw it up in the
bump in late.
put it on the iPad. Throw on the iPad while I'm tattooing.
Cool. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it too.
Well, sweet.
I'll be running the paint stream or whatever, so I'll definitely see you guys there.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks for all your help today.
Yeah,
Laura,
thank
thanks
you,
for joining
Laura.
us
Thank you
again
for having
today.
me.
Tattoo Doula on Instagram. Check her out.
Thanks.
She's super awesome.
Yep.
Thanks for a good podcast. This was fun.
Yeah, it was
Yep. Thanks. It's
Snap
always
through
good
3
having
hours
you
on
on.
nothing.
always a
Yep.
pleasure.
Well, sweet. You can find me at jordanruckustattoo@gmail.com or www.jordanruckustattoo.com. Fawn, you can find her at
fawn_baker on the Instagram or fawnbaker.com. And as always, you can find us at tattoocollecting.com or tattoo collecting 101 on the Instagrams. But communicate with us if you have any input on any of the things we were talking about today, or like just any questions, anything you want to hear us talk about. Like we actually do like interact with that and check things out. So,
And of course, big thanks to Reinventing the Tattoo. You can always check us out on reinventingthetattoo.com.
so
And the app. Download the app. Get that. Follow all these.
oh, and next week it's gonna be. Are you going to still be out of town next week?
I'll be out of town next week. I'm
So
going
it'll
to do my
be-
best to chime in.
It'll be me and
I'm
Ben Thomas.
going to be on Seattle time.
He'll be our guest host. He's been a guest a few times, so
I hopefully can do it. It'll be like 8 in the morning for me.
it's okay. You just stumble in all in
But
your pajamas, the blunt in your
I'll be
hand.
12 o'clock time in my brain though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right, you guys.
I'll be out.
All right. Thanks
Sweet.
for
Thank you,
everything.
Lauren.
See you
Thank
guys
you.
next week.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
28.